Hello everyone, and welcome to the Fictional Vortex. So we are back with an interesting movie on what if Naruto awakened the celestial bloodline of Kami and Yami, Naruto Divine Balance God. But before we start, I just want to remind you to please subscribe to my channel and hit the like button if you enjoy my content. Let's start the story. Chapter 1. Celestial Awakening. Blood spattered across ancient stone as Naruto crashed against the temple wall, his body leaving a crimson smear when he slumped to the ground. The rogue ninjas had ambushed them at dawn, separating him from Jiraiya with a series of explosive tags that collapsed the forest floor beneath him. Now, alone in this forgotten ruin, he faced opponents far beyond his current abilities. Just our luck, the taller assassin sneered, twirling a poison-tipped kunai. We were hired to eliminate some old hermit, and we get his brat as a bonus. Naruto spat blood and forced himself to stand, despite 3 broken ribs grinding against each other. If you think I'm just some brat, you've made your last mistake. The shorter assassin laughed, the sound echoing across the crumbling stone chamber. Big words from a half-dead genin. He formed hand signs with practiced precision. Water style. Drowning prison. Water materialized from the humid air, encasing Naruto in a floating sphere. He thrashed against the liquid prison, lungs burning as seconds ticked by. Through the watery distortion, he saw the assassins already turning away, confident in their technique. Not like this, Naruto thought. Darkness creeping into his vision. Not when I've barely begun. Something ancient stirred within him, neither the Nine Tails chakra nor his own stubborn will. It resonated from his very cells, from places deeper than even Kurama could reach. As consciousness faded, Naruto found himself in a space between spaces, a void that was somehow both blinding light and absolute darkness. 2 voices spoke simultaneously, one melodious and warm, the other deep and cold. The time has come. The balance returns. After 1,000 years, the bloodline awakens. Who's there? Naruto called out, his voice echoing endlessly. What's happening? Child of prophecy, heir of contradictions. Accept the gift. Embrace the burden. 2 massive entities materialized before him, one radiant beyond comprehension. Its form constructed of pure golden light that shifted between countless faces and forms, the other a depthless shadow with edges that seemed to consume reality itself, beautiful in its perfect emptiness. Kami, Yami, creation, destruction. The world needs both, they spoke in unison, their voices intertwining. Without light, darkness consumes all. Without darkness, light burns existence away. You shall be our vessel, the divine balance god. The entities reached toward Naruto simultaneously. Where they touched his forehead, excruciating pain bloomed. W or beyond mortal comprehension forced into human flesh. Every cell in his body died and regenerated in an instant, reconstructed to channel forces that predated the Sage of Six Paths himself. In the physical world, the water prison exploded outward with catastrophic force. The assassins turned just in time to witness Naruto hovering 3 feet above the ground, his body emanating pulses of alternating light and darkness. Ancient symbols materialized on his skin, luminous golden characters on the right side of his body, midnight black on the left, meeting in a complex pattern down his center. What the hell? The shorter assassin breathed, backing away. What is this chakra? It doesn't feel like a tailed beast. Naruto's eyes snapped open, the right blazing gold, the left depthless black. He didn't recognize his own voice when he spoke. It resonated with harmonics that made the temple stones vibrate. You sought to end a life. Now witness what true endings look like. Naruto extended his left hand, and shadows leapt from his fingertips, not merely darkness but the absence of existence. Where they touched the shorter assassin, matter simply ceased to be, chunks of the man's body vanishing without blood or sound. Clean-edged voids appearing throughout his torso. He didn't even have time to scream before collapsing into a pile of disconnected flesh. Horror paralyzed the remaining assassin, his body trembling as primal terror overwhelmed training and experience. Mercy, he whispered, dropping his weapons. Please. The plea died in his throat as Naruto tilted his head curiously, studying the man with mismatched eyes. You would take lives without hesitation yet beg for your own. The right side of Naruto's body glowed brighter. Perhaps there is another way. He extended his right hand, and pure golden light enveloped the assassin. The man screamed as the light penetrated his body, illuminating his skeleton, purging through his chakra network. When the light faded, he collapsed to his knees. Physically unharmed but irrevocably changed. What did you do to me? The assassin gasped, tears streaming down his face. I removed the capacity for violence from your spirit, Naruto said. His voice gradually returning to normal as the symbols on his skin faded. Your skills remain, but you will never again raise hand against another living being with intent to harm. The assassin stared at his shaking hands with dawning horror. You've destroyed me more completely than death. I've given you opportunity to discover who you might become without bloodshed. Naruto swayed suddenly, the enormous power receding like a tide, leaving his mortal form drained. A second chance. The chamber spun around him as he collapsed, the last of his Konsho. SNES registering an alarmed shout from somewhere above the ruins. Through tunnel vision, he glimpsed Jiraiya's sandals landing nearby, then another set of footwear, unfamiliar, feminine, with the distinctive cloud pattern of Kumogakure. What the hell happened here? Jiraiya's voice sounded distant despite his proximity. Something ancient has awakened, a woman's voice answered, melodic yet with steel beneath the softness. The Nibi is reacting, it recognizes this power. Yugito ni, Jiraiya acknowledged tensely. What's a Kumo Jinchuriki doing this far from home? The same as you, I imagine. Investigating the chakra disturbance that's been setting off sensors across 5 nations. Darkness claimed Naruto then, his mind retreating into unconsciousness as his body struggled to aid a PT to the cosmic forces now residing within. Dreams of creation and destruction swirled through Naruto's mind, worlds forming and unraveling, civilizations rising and falling in eye-blinks, stars igniting and extinguishing across endless expanses. Through it all, 2 voices whispered knowledge that human language had never been designed to express. When consciousness finally returned, it arrived. Ed with stabbing pain behind his eyes and an awareness of fundamental changes within his body. Not possible. Jiraiya's voice penetrated the fog. That bloodline was mythical, a story to explain the unexplainable. The Nibi disagrees, came the woman's reply. She says his energy carries the signature of forces that existed before the tailed beasts were split from the 10 tails. Naruto opened his eyes, immediately regretting the decision as sunlight sent fresh agony through his skull. He was lying beside a small campfire, the stone walls of the ruined temple still visible but now open to the sky where they had partially collapsed. Evening shadows stretched across the forest floor beyond the broken walls. He's awake, the unfamiliar voice noted. Naruto turned toward the sound, vision gradually focusing on a striking woman perched on a fallen column. She appeared to be in her early 20s, with platinum blonde hair tied back in a tight braid that reached her waist. Her eyes caught his attention immediately, pale green irises with vertically slitted pupils that reflected the firelight. She wore a modified Kumogakure uniform with distinctive cloud patterns across the shoulders. And her posture suggested both relaxation and readiness to move instantly if threatened. Welcome back to the land of the living, Jiraiya said, kneeling beside him. You've been unconscious for almost 20 hours. 20. Naruto attempted to sit up, wincing as his muscles protested. What happened to me? Jiraiya exchanged glances with the Kumo Kunoichi. You tell us. I tracked you to this temple after we got separated. Only to find you floating midair, covered in ancient script, while one man lay dismembered and another babbled about having his spirit rewritten. Memories rashed through Naruto's mind. The assassination attempt, the water prison, the void between spaces, and the 2 cosmic entities that had transformed him. He looked down at his hands, expecting to see the golden and shadow markings. But his skin appeared normal. There were voices, he began, struggling to articulate the experience. Entities that called themselves Kami and Yami. They said I carried some kind of bloodline. That I would become something called the Divine Balance God. The blonde woman slid gracefully from her perch, approaching with subtle caution. The 2 tails is agitated by your very presence, she said. She keeps repeating the same phrase, the ancients return. Yugito ni, Jiraiya introduced belatedly. Jinchuriki of the 2-tailed beast. She arrived shortly after I found you. Naruto studied her with newfound interest. You're like me, a Jinchuriki. A smile quirked at the edge of Yugito's mouth. Yes and no. I'm fully synchronized with my beast. We work as partners rather than adversaries. She crouched to his eye level, studying him intensely. But you're something altogether different now. Something more than a Jinchuriki. Naruto felt an inexplicable connection to this woman. Not romantic attraction, but something deeper, as though their very energies recognized each other. The Nine Tails. I can't feel him at all right now. It's like he's been pushed into the background by whatever this is. Try channeling chakra, Jiraiya suggested, his expression uncharacteristically serious. Naruto formed the simple hand seal for chakra molding. A basic exercise he'd performed thousands of times. The results were catastrophic. Instead of the familiar blue energy, his right hand erupted with blinding golden light while his left extruded pure darkness. Where the energies met at his center, reality itself seemed to warp and distort. Stop, Yugito commanded, her hands forming unfamiliar seals. Your energies are completely unbalanced. The conflicting powers intensified, tearing at Naruto's chakra network. Plants around him responded bizarrely. Those touched by the golden light erupted in explosive growth, flowering and fruiting NTLY before withering from accelerated life cycles, while vegetation touched by the shadows simply ceased to exist, leaving perfect voids in the ground. Pain lanced through Naruto's body as the powers fought for dominance. Blood trickled from his eyes and nose as the cosmic energies threatened to tear him apart from within. Through the haze of agony, he felt slender but strong hands grasp his shoulders. And Yugito's face appeared before him, her eyes now glowing with the Two Tails' power. Listen to me, she said, her voice overlaid with the Biju's deeper tones. These aren't opposing forces. They're complementary aspects of the same whole. Don't try to channel one or the other, visualize them as a single unified power. I don't know how. Naruto gasped as golden cracks appeared in his skin, leaking light. While shadows seeped from the pores on his left side. Yes, you do, Yugito insisted. The knowledge is within you now. Close your eyes. Feel the balance point where neither dominates. Desperate, Naruto followed her instructions. Behind closed eyelids, he perceived his internal energy as two massive currents, one brilliant, warm, and expansive, the other cold, depthless, and consuming. Where they collided, chaos erupted, but slightly beyond that turbulence, he sensed a narrow path where the forces naturally harmonized. With tremendous effort, he directed his consciousness along that path, feeling the energies gradually equalize. As balance restored, the pain subsided, and the destructive effects around him stabilized. When he opened his eyes again, the golden and Hado markings had reappeared on his skin but now pulsed in perfect synchronization. Remarkable, Yugito murmured, her own eyes returning to normal as she released his shoulders. You shouldn't have been able to achieve that level of control so quickly. It wasn't control, Naruto admitted, breathing heavily. It was survival instinct. These powers, they would have torn me apart. Jiraiya approached cautiously, examining the intricate patterns now visible on Naruto's skin. These markings, I've seen similar script in the most ancient sections of the Fire Temple archives. Texts that dated the founding of the hidden villages, possibly even the era of the Sage of Six Paths. What do they mean? Naruto asked, studying the flowing characters that covered his arms. They tell the story of the world's creation. Yugito answered unexpectedly. The Nibi recognizes fragments. Before chakra was divided among humans, before the 10 tails existed, there were primal forces that shaped reality itself. Kami and Yami, Naruto confirmed. Creation and destruction. Jiraiya nodded gravely. Myths speak of bloodlines that could channel those forces, but they were thought extinct though. Sands of years ago, if they ever existed at all. He ran a hand through his wild white hair, looking uncharacteristically concerned. This complicates our training journey significantly. I can help, Yugito offered. Surprising both of them, at least temporarily. The Two Tails has knowledge about balancing opposing energies that might prove useful. Suspicion flashed across Jiraiya's face. What would Kumogakure want in exchange for such assistance? Yugito's expression remained impassive. This isn't about village politics. The Nibi is insistent. She believes this transcends our normal conflicts. Naruto studied her, finding sincerity in her steady gaze. Something within him, neither Kurama nor his new powers, but some deeper intuition, trusted her instinctively. I think we should accept her help, pervy sage. Jiraiya sighed dramatically. I see my authority as master is already being undermined. Despite his words, a hint of his usual humor had returned. Fine, but we establish ground rules. This doesn't change our training agenda or destinations. And at the first sign of Kumo Hunter Nin or diplomatic coincidences, we part ways. Yugito inclined her head slightly. Agreed. As night fell fully over the ancient temple, Naruto felt both exhilarated and terrified by the transformation he'd undergone. Everything about him had changed on a fundamental level, yet his core remained, his determination. His dreams, his indomitable will. Now, those qualities would be tested against powers no human was meant to wield. Dawn broke over the forest with unusual brilliance. Golden light filtering through leaves with such intensity that dewdrops sparkled like diamonds across the undergrowth. Naruto had barely slept, his mind processing the cosmic knowledge that filtered through his consciousness in fragments and symbols his human understanding struggled to interpret. He sat cross-legged on a flat stone, attempting the meditation exercises Yugito had demonstrated the previous evening. The goal was simple in concept yet nearly impossible in execution: maintain perfect equilibrium between creation and destruction energies while gradually increasing their flow. Each time the balance tilted even slightly, the effects manifested physically around him, either accelerated growth or localized decay. Your body language betrays your impatience, Yugito observed, approaching silently from behind. Equilibrium requires acceptance of time's natural flow. Naruto opened his eyes, frustration evident in his expression. I've never been good at sitting still. Perhaps stillness isn't your path to balance. She gestured toward the forest. Walk with me. They moved through the morning mist, leaving Jiraiya snoring beside the campfire. Yugito moved with predatory grace, each step perfectly placed despite the uneven terrain. Naruto found himself unconsciously mirroring her movements, his enhanced senses registering details he'd never noticed before, the complex harmonics in birdsong, the microscopic patterns of bark texture, the subtle electromagnetic fields surrounding living organisms. The Nibi tells me that previous vessels of cosmic energy found their balance points in different ways, Yugito said after several minutes of silence. Some through absolute stillness, others through perpetual motion. The key isn't the method but the result, harmony between opposing forces. You talk about the two tails like your friends, Naruto noted. A subtle smile touched Yugito's lips. We understand each other. Kumogakure's approach to Jinchuriki is different from what you've experienced. We're trained from childhood to synchronize with our Biju rather than suppress them. That sounds better than being treated like a monster. It has its own costs, she replied. Her expression momentarily distant. Perfect harmony with a tailed beast means surrendering parts of your humanity. I've never had normal relationships or friendships. My RPOSE has always been defined by what I contain, not who I am. The candid admission surprised Naruto. Isn't that lonely? Yugito's pace slowed as she considered the question. I never thought about it in those terms. Loneliness implies desiring connection and lacking it. I was taught that separation was necessary for control. She glanced at him with unexpected vulnerability. But seeing you, how you retain your essential self despite hosting the Nine Tails, has been educational. Before Naruto could respond, a shift in the atmosphere drew both their attentions. The morning mist thickened unnaturally around them, taking on a subtle bluish hue. Genjutsu, Yugito whispered, her body tensing as her eyes shifted to their feline form. Complex and well-crafted, Naruto's heightened senses detected multiple presences surrounding them, at least 5 individuals concealing themselves within the mist. Unlike Yugito, who immediately formed defensive seals, he felt a strange calm settle over him. The cosmic energies within responded to the threat by automatically seeking balance, enhancing his perception beyond normal limitations. Wait, he said quietly, placing a hand on Yugito's arm. I can see through this. His mismatched eyes penetrated the illusion effortlessly, perceiving the true nature of their surroundings. The attackers weren't ordinary shinobi but something far stronger, humanoid figures with ash-gray skin and glowing sigils carved into their flesh. They moved with unnatural synchronization, more like extensions of a single will than individual opponents. Without consciously deciding to act, Naruto stepped forward and clapped his hands together. The sound echoed with impossible resonance, sending visible ripples through reality that shattered the genjutsu instantly. The mist dissolved, revealing their attackers in physical form, 5 robed figures arranged in a perfect pentagon formation around them. The heretic awakens, intoned the central figure, voice hollow and reverberating. The false god must not be allowed to mature. Yugito shifted into a combat stance, blue chakra flames already forming around her hands. What are they? Not entirely human anymore, Naruto replied. Knowledge flowing into his consciousness from the cosmic forces. They've given portions of their souls to something ancient, something that opposes balance. The cultists moved with perfect coordination, each performing identical hand seals simultaneously. The earth beneath Naruto and Yugito erupted with black flames that gave off no heat but consumed matter nonetheless. Acting on instinct rather than training, Naruto slammed his right palm against the ground. Golden energy flowed outward in a perfect circle, transforming the unnatural black flames into harm. Less cherry blossoms that drifted upward on thermal currents. The cultists hesitated, clearly surprised by the effortless neutralization of their technique. That moment of uncertainty was all Yugito needed. She launched forward with blinding speed, her body partially transforming as the two tails lent her its power. Blue-black flames wreathed her elongated fingernails as she tore through 2 cultists before they could react. Their bodies disintegrating into gray ash upon contact. Naruto faced the remaining 3 as they abandoned formation to attack from different angles. Time seemed to slow as his perception accelerated, allowing him to track their movements with perfect clarity. The central figure produced a curved dagger that hummed with malevolent energy, while the others prepared stance attacks that warped the very air around their hands. Your interference is futile, the leader hissed. The balance must never return. The world requires entropy's purity, not the contradiction of preservation. The words triggered something within Naruto, not anger, but perfect clarity. These weren't simply enemies to defeat but fundamental opposition to what he was becoming. Without conscious thought, his body moved into an unfamiliar stance, right palm facing upward, left extended downward. I don't fully understand what's happening to me, Naruto admitted, his voice resonating with harmonic undertones. But I know this much, balance isn't a contradiction. It's the only path to true existence. The cultists attacked simultaneously, their coordinated techniques merging into a vortex of destructive energy that howled toward Naruto with devastating force. He remained motionless until the last possible moment, then brought his palms together with precise timing. The collision of yin and yang energies created a perfect cancellation field, neither destructive nor creative, but a temporary zone where physical laws simplified to their most basic expression. The cultists' complex technique, dependent on manipulated natural forces, simply unraveled upon contact. Their momentum carried them forward into this field, where their own corrupt energies turned inward, consuming them from within. Within seconds, only gray ash remained, swirling in the morning breeze before settling across the forest floor. The entire encounter had lasted less than a minute, yet Naruto felt as how he'd lived a lifetime within those moments, accessing combat knowledge from countless previous vessels of cosmic power. Yugito approached cautiously, her transformation receding as the threat disappeared. That wasn't a shinobi technique, she observed, studying him with newfound wariness. What exactly did you do? I'm not entirely sure, Naruto admitted, examining his hands as the balance symbols faded back beneath his skin. It was like my body remembered something my mind never learned. Muscle memory from past lives, Yugito murmured. The Nibi speaks of such possibilities, no. Edge carried in the soul rather than the brain. A slow clapping sound interrupted their conversation. They turned to find Jiraiya perched on a nearby branch, his expression caught between amazement and concern. Impressive light show, he remarked, jumping down to join them. Though next time, perhaps wake your master before engaging unknown hostiles. You were watching the whole time, Naruto accused. Of course. Jiraiya's casual tone belied the calculating look in his eyes. I needed to see how these new abilities function in combat without interference. He crouched beside the ash remains, rubbing the substance between his fingers. These weren't ordinary fanatics. The residual energy signature matches descriptions in ancient scrolls, servants of something called the void between. You know what they are? Yugito asked sharply. Not exactly. Jiraiya straightened, suddenly serious. But I've been researching obscure cults for years as part of my intelligence network. There are whispers of a group called the Entropy's Children who worship destruction as the universe's natural end state. They oppose any force that maintains or creates order. Naruto digested this information, connecting it with the knowledge filtering through his consciousness. And a bloodline that balances creation and destruction would be their ultimate enemy. Precisely. Jiraiya's gaze hardened, which means our training just became significantly more complicated. These cultists will have sensed your awakening, and they won't stop with one assassination attempt. Then we need to accelerate his control training, Yugito stated, her tone leaving no room for argument. The Nibi suggests we head east to the coastal temples. There are ruins there that may contain guidance for managing divine energies. Jiraiya raised an eyebrow. Interesting how your Biju seems to know exactly where we should go. Yugito met his suspicious gaze without flinching. The tailed beasts have existed for centuries, accumulating knowledge humans have forgotten. If you have better information sources about managing primordial cosmic forces, I'm eager to hear them. The tension between them was palpable until Naruto laughed unexpectedly, breaking the standoff. You two are more alike than you want to admit, he observed. Both stubborn, both protective, both keeping secrets. His comment earned matching glares that only confirmed his assessment. Jiraiya recovered first, his expression softening into resignation. Fine, we'll head to these coastal temples, which, coincidentally, were already on our itinerary. He pointed accusingly at Yugito. But we travel my way, at my pace, and you follow my lead while in Fire Country territory. Agreed, she replied with diplomatic precision. Though, I suggest we avoid main roads and settlements. Those cultists won't be the last to sense his awakening. As they returned to camp to gather their supplies, Naruto felt a strange combination of dread and exhilaration. His life had already been complicated as a Jinchuriki, but this cosmic inheritance introduced dangers and possibilities beyond anything he'd imagined. Yet beneath the uncertainty, a newfound confidence flowed through him, not the brash overcompensation of his youth, but something deeper and more substantial. Whatever he was becoming, he would face it with the same determination that had carried him through every previous challenge. The coastal road wound through mist-shrouded cliffs, ancient trees clinging to vertical surfaces with exposed roots that resembled gnarled fingers. 3 days of hard travel had brought them to the eastern extremes of the Land of Fire, where the continent fractured into archipelagos and forgotten islands. With each passing day, Naruto's control over his new abilities had incrementally improved, though moments of imbalance still produced unpredictable effects, from spontaneously healing a wounded deer they encountered to accidentally integrating a small bridge they'd been about to cross. The temple should be visible once we round this headland, Yugito said, moving with tireless grace despite the grueling pace they'd maintained. Jiraiya, walking slightly ahead, remained uncharacteristically silent. He'd been growing increasingly pensive as they approached their destination, occasionally consulting a small, weathered journal he refused to explain. The tension between him and Yugito had gradually evolved from overt suspicion to grudging professional respect, though neither fully trusted the other's motives. Naruto had spent much of the journey in his own mental landscape, conversing with the Nine Tails for the first time since his transformation. Kurama had initially been furious about being suppressed by the Cosmi Sea energies but had gradually become curious about their origins. Something's not right, Naruto said suddenly, stopping in his tracks. His senses, now exponentially sharper than before, detected sub-TLE disturbances in the natural energy around them. The air feels wrong. Jiraiya immediately dropped into a defensive posture while Yugito's eyes shifted to their feline form as she scanned the surrounding cliffs. Neither questioned Naruto's assessment. They had quickly learned to trust his enhanced perceptions. There, he continued, pointing toward seemingly empty air near a massive dead tree. Reality is thinner somehow. Before either could respond, the space he indicated rippled like heat haze, then tore open in a vertical slash of absolute darkness. From this void emerged a figure that defied conventional description, humanoid in basic shape but composed of shifting geometries that hurt the eyes to observe directly. It stood at least 8 feet tall, its skin a mosaic of sea. constantly moving black glass fragments that reflected distorted versions of its surroundings. Abomination, Jiraiya breathed, genuine fear crossing his features. I've only read descriptions. Balance breaker, the entity intoned, its voice seeming to originate from everywhere simultaneously. Entropy denier, false harmony. Naruto stepped forward instinctively, the cosmic energies within him surging in response to this unnatural presence. The markings blazed across his skin without conscious effort, illuminating the misty landscape with alternating pulses of gold and shadow. "What are you?" he demanded, surprised by the authority in his own voice. The creature's face, a featureless obsidian surface, turned toward him. "I am Void's messenger. I bring warning from beyond dimensional barriers. Your existence threatens cosmic law." Yugito moved to flank the entity, blue chakra flames already wreathing her limbs. "The Nibi recognizes your kind," she hissed. "Parasites that feed on destruction, pretending to serve natural order while consuming reality itself." The messenger's form rippled with what might have been amusement. The fractured one speaks of matters beyond its comprehension. The beast that burns knows nothing of true entropy. It refocused on Naruto. "Last warning, false god. Abandon the balance. Return the energies you have stolen. Accept your mortal limitations." Something profound shifted in Naruto's understanding as he faced this creature. The fragmented cosmic knowledge within him suddenly crystallized around a single certainty: this entity and those like it were ancient enemies of balance, fundamentally opposed to the forces he now embodied. "I don't think these powers were ever mine to return," Naruto replied, his mismatched eyes glowing brighter. "And I'm starting to believe they chose me for a reason." The messenger's form distorted violently, stretching toward the sky before compressing into a more concentrated mass. "Then you choose extinction." It extended an appendage that unfolded into impossible geometries. "Not just your death, but erasure from all possible timelines." Jiraiya shouted a warning, already weaving complex seals. His voice seemed to come from immense distance as Naruto's perception accelerated beyond normal time. The messenger's attack, a beam of anti-existence that left a cutting void through reality itself, moved with impossible speed toward his heart. In that fractional moment, Naruto accessed knowledge that transcended human understanding. His hands formed seals never before seen in the ninja world, oceans that manipulated fundamental forces rather than chakra. As the void beam reached him, his right hand blazed with creation energy while his left manifested perfect destruction. Rather than opposing the attack directly, he bent reality around himself, creating a localized domain where different physical laws applied. The void beam hit this field and shattered into component energies that Naruto instinctively harvested, absorbing and redistributing their potential through his own balanced system. The messenger recoiled, its form destabilizing momentarily. "Impossible," it vibrated. "No mortal vessel has achieved harmonic integration so quickly." Taking advantage of its confusion, Yugito launched forward with feline speed, her body wreathed in the two tails' distinctive fire. She struck with precision, targeting junction points in the entity's geometric structure that the Biju somehow recognized as vulnerabilities. Where her chakra-enhanced claws connected, the creature's obsidian surface cracked, leaking smoky essence into the air. Jiraiya completed his lengthy technique, slamming both palms against the ground. Sealing art. Dimensional anchor. The earth beneath the mesa erupted with glowing chains composed of pure sealing energy, wrapping around its form and restricting its movement between realities. "Now, Naruto," Yugito called, leaping clear of the entangled entity. Understanding flowed between them without words, three different power systems working in unexpected harmony. Naruto gathered balanced energy between his palms, compressing it into a sphere hat contained both creation and destruction in perfect equilibrium. Unlike the Rasengan's chaotic rotation, this technique achieved absolute stillness at its center, a single point where opposing forces nullified into pure potential. "Divine art," he intoned, knowledge flowing through him from countless previous vessels, harmonic reversion. He thrust the sphere into the messenger's core. For one breathless moment, nothing happened. Then reality itself seemed to inhale around the point of contact. The entity's form collapsed inward, its complex geometries simplifying, its dimensional connections severing one by one. It emitted no sound but projected overwhelming emotion, rage, fear, and beneath those, profound shock at being countered so effectively. Within seconds, what had been a FYING extra-dimensional entity compressed into a small obsidian sphere no larger than a marble. It dropped to the ground with a mundane clink, its threat neutralized. Silence fell over the coastal paw. As Naruto stared at his hands in wonder and confusion. How did I know to do that? Soul memory, Yugito replied, approaching cautiously as her transformation receded. The Nibi says you accessed knowledge from previous balance vessels. Previous vessels? Jiraiya interrupted, retrieving the obsidian sphere with a specially prepared cloth. You mean there have been others who carried these powers? Yugito nodded, her expression grave. According to the two tales, the cosmic bloodline has appeared throughout history at critical junctures. Some vessels ascended to higher planes of existence. Others, her voice trailed off. Others what? Naruto prompted. Were consumed by the powers they couldn't balance, she finished reluctantly. Becoming either beings of pure creation that RNED themselves out in stellar explosions, or vortexes of destruction that had to be sealed away by combined Biju efforts. The implications settled heavily over Naruto. So either I master this perfectly, or I become a threat to everything. Which is why we need to reach the temple, Jiraiya interjected, pocketing the sealed sphere. There might be guidance left by previous vessels, training methods or control techniques. They continued around the headland in thoughtful silence. As the mist cleared, an ancient structure came into view, a massive temple complex built into the living rock of the seaside cliffs. Unlike the crumbling ruins they'd encountered before, this structure remained remarkably intact, its architecture blending seamlessly with the natural formations as though grown rather than constructed. The Temple of Tidal Equilibrium, Yugito breathed, reverence evident in her voice. The Nibi has shared visions of this place but never expected to witness it physically. As they approached the temple entrance, a towering archway covered in the same symbols that appeared on Naruto's skin during power manifestations, he felt a resonance deep within. This place recognized him on a fundamental level, responding to the cosmic energies he carried. The massive stone doors, which must have weighed tons, swung open silently at his approach. Within the shadowy interior, end mechanisms activated sequentially, crystals embedded in the walls illuminating with soft, ambient light that required no apparent power source. It welcomes you, Yugito observed, following close behind. These systems have likely been dormant for centuries, waiting for another balance vessel. Jiraiya examined the activating mechanisms with scholarly interest. This technology predates modern chakra application. These aren't jutsu constructs but something far more fundamental. The entry corridor opened into a vast central chamber with a domed ceiling that somehow captured and amplified the fading daylight. In the chamber's center stood a raised platform surrounded by concentric rings of those same cosmic symbols, all carved from a material that resembled mother of pearl but radiated subtle energy. It's a training circle, Naruto realized, knowledge flowing into his consciousness. For practicing balance techniques safely. Yugito nodded, the two tales' influence evident in her glowing eyes. The Nibi confirms this was a sanctuary for previous vessels. A place to learn control without endangering others. Naruto stepped onto the platform, immediately feeling the space respond to his presence. The symbols around him illuminated in perfect sequence, creating a contained field that amplified his connection to the cosmic energies while preventing external effects. This is exactly what I need, he said. A genuine smile spreading across his face, the first since his transformation began. A place to understand what I'm becoming without worrying about accidentally destroying something. Jiraiya circled the chamber, examining inscriptions and artifacts with growing excitement. These records could fill volumes. Historical accounts, training methods, philosophical discussions about the nature of balance itself. He turned to Yugito with newfound respect. Your Biju's guidance was invaluable. I would have eventually found this place, but perhaps not in time. She inclined her head slightly, accepting the acknowledgement. The tailed beasts remember what humans forget. They experienced the era when cosmic forces walked among mortals. As Naruto experimental, channeled small amounts of balanced energy, creating harmless manifestations within the protected circle, he felt something he hadn't experienced since his transformation, hope. This ancient sanctuary offered a path forward, a way to master his new existence without endangering those he cared about. We should establish camp, Jiraiya decided, setting down his travel pack. This complex is extensive, and properly studying its secrets will take time. I can help translate the older inscriptions, Yugito offered. The Nibi recognizes many of these script forms. As his companions began organizing their temporary headquarters, Naruto remained on the training platform, marveling at how perfectly it contained and directed his energies. For the first time, he could fully extend his awareness into the cosmic forces without fear of consequences. Within this expanded consciousness, he perceived distant watchers, entities of both light and shadow observing his progress with keen interest. Like the messenger's malevolent presence, these observers radiated neither approval nor threat, merely intense curiosity about his development. I see you, Naruto projected toward them, surprising himself with the ease of extra-dimensional communication. What do you want from me? No direct answer came, but impressions filtered through, expectations, potential futures, diverging timelines His choices led to radically different outcomes. Among these possibilities, he glimpsed moments of profound significance, confrontations with enemies beyond mortal comprehension, alliances with unexpected allies, and 5 distinct feminine presences whose energies complemented his own in ways he couldn't yet understand. As twilight deepened outside the temple, Naruto withdrew from the cosmic awareness, returning to his physical senses with newfound clarity. Whatever path lay ahead would be dangerous and uncertain, but he was not the first to walk it. Others had carried these powers before, leaving guidance for those who followed. I'll master this, he promised himself quietly, watching as Yugito and Jiraiya set up camp beneath the temple's ancient dome. Not just for my sake, but for everyone who depends on me. The cosmic energies within him resonated with that commitment, achieving momentary perfect balance. As that harmony spread through his system, Naruto felt his transformed consciousness expand beyond normal limitations, perceiving not just this reality but countless parallel possibilities branching outward like an infinite cosmic tree. In that moment of clarity, one CERTAINTY emerged. His journey had only just begun. Chapter 1 End Chapter 2, Homecoming Illumination. Dawn painted Konoha's eastern gates in watercolor hues, soft amber and rose tinting the weathered woe. As 3 travel-worn figures approached after weeks of absence. Naruto paused at the threshold, his gaze sweeping across the familiar skyline with newfound perception. The village chakra signature, registered as a complex tapestry of interwoven lives, pulsing with individual rhythms that collectively formed an entity greater than its parts. He had never noticed this before his transformation. Having second thoughts, Jiraiya asked, observing his student's hesitation with unusual perceptiveness. Naruto shook his head, adjusting the specialized gloves Yugito had crafted for him from rare chakra-dampening fabric. Just seeing home differently now. Remember our agreement, Yugito murmured, her Kumo headband conspicuously absent, replaced by a simple traveler's hood. I remain your Anon. Why most training associate until your Hokage decides how to handle my presence? Their journey from the coastal temple had been enlightening but incomplete. 3 weeks of intensive training had given Naruto rudimentary control over his celestial energies, enough to prevent catastrophic imbalance but far from mastery. The ancient records had revealed disturbing patterns about previous vessels, particularly their tendency toward isolation as powers matured. Some had formed sanctuary communities, others had disappeared into dimensional spaces between realities. None had successfully integrated into existing power structures. Hokage Tower first, Jiraiya instructed, nodding to the gate guards who straightened to attention at the Sanin's approach. Tsunade needs immediate briefing before rumors start spreading. The streets of Konoha bustled with morning activity, merchants arranging wares, children rushing to the academy, shinobi reporting for assignments. Naruto instinctively adjusted his perceptual filters as Yugito had taught him, dampening his cosmic awareness to prevent sensory overload from the dense population. Even so, he noticed details invisible before, stress fractures in building foundations, residual chakra traces from past conflicts, the subtle electromagnetic patterns generated by thought processes within human brains. You're glowing again, Yugito whispered sharply. Naruto glanced down to find golden light seeping through his dampening gloves. With practiced focus, He redirected the energy inward, balancing it against the darkness that perpetually sought dominance. The temple training had taught him that perfect equilibrium remained impossible in populated areas. Too many emotional triggers, too many unpredictable energy patterns disrupting his internal harmony. They attracted curious glances as they passed through the market district, villagers noting both Jiraiya's return and the unfamiliar blonde woman accompanying them. Naruto heard whispered speculations, some flattering, others suspicious. The council will demand explanations, Jiraiya muttered, nodding curtly to an Anbu operative who materialized briefly on a nearby rooftop before vanishing, clearly reporting their arrival. Danzo particularly will see your new abilities as a village resource to be exploited. Let him try, Naruto replied with uncharacteristic calmness. His voice read harmonic undertones that made nearby birds tilt their heads in curiosity. Some things can't be controlled through conventional means. The administrative district emerged before them, dominate by the Hokage Tower's distinctive architecture. As they approached the entrance, Naruto sensed a familiar chakra signature moving rapidly toward their position, a bright, clean energy pattern distinctive in its precision. Naruto. Sakura's voice rang across the courtyard as she emerged from the tower's entrance. Her pace faltered momentarily as she registered his changed appearance, but Ional training quickly reasserted itself. Lady Tsunade's been monitoring your approach since you crossed the border. She's waiting in the secure briefing room. Her gaze shifted to Yugito, medical training immediately cataloging the subtle indicators of Jinchuriki status. You've brought a guest. A specialist consultant, Jiraiya intervened smoothly. Classification level S, need to know basis only. Sakura nodded crisply, though her analytical eyes continued studying Yugito with professional curiosity. This way, please. The Hokage has cleared her schedule. As they followed Sakura through security checkpoints, Naruto noticed his former teammate subtly analyzing him with medical precision. Her chakra, more refined and controlled than he remembered, extended delicate sensory phylame. NTS that brushed against his aura before retracting quickly, as though encountering unexpected resistance. Your chakra signature has changed, she stated clinically, though concern underlay her professional tone. Completely different frequency patterns, expanded capacity, abnormal element combinations. Are you experiencing any adverse symptoms? Metabolic disruptions, perception anomalies, personality shifts. The rapid-fire medical assessment, delivered without pausing for breath, drew an amused glance from Jiraiya. Still Tsunade's perfect apprentice, I see. I'm managing, Naruto answered carefully, appreciating her concern but reluctant to detail his transformation in an unsecured environment. It's complicated. Sakura's lips pressed into a thin line of professional disapproval. That's what patients always say before collapsing from catastrophic chakra network failure. They reached the secure briefing room, a spacious chamber with advanced privacy seals embedded in walls constructed from chakra-dampening materials. Tsunade awaited them, her commanding presence filling the space despite her seated position behind a document-covered desk. Her sharp amber eyes immediately focused on Naruto, widening slightly at whatever she perceived. Out, she ordered the Anbu guards with a curt gesture. Full isolation protocols, no monitoring, no exceptions. The masked operative hesitated fractionally, an almost imperceptible pause that nonetheless revealed their reluctance to leave their Hokage unprotected. Tsunade's expression hardened. That wasn't a suggestion. Once the room cleared, complex security seals activated automatically, bathing the chamber momentarily in blue light before fading into the infrastructure. Tsunade remained silent, studying each of them in turn before focusing on Yugito with narrowed eyes. You've brought Kumogakure's Jinchuriki into my village without advance authorization, she stated flatly. Start explaining before I decide that constitutes an act of aggression. Jiraiya stepped forward, dropping his typical carefree persona entirely. The situation warranted exceptional measures. Yugito ni has been instrumental in stabilizing Naruto's condition and comes with the Two Tails' explicit blessing, if not officially her village's. My presence here is unofficial, Yugito clarified, meeting Tsunade's suspicious gaze directly. My Biju insisted on assisting the balance vessel during initial stabilization. I'll accept whatever security protocols you deem necessary. Tsunade's expression remained skeptical. Balance vessel. Perhaps it would be easier to demonstrate, Naruto suggested quietly. At Tsunade's guarded nod, he removed the specialized gloves. Without their dampening effect, the cosmic energies immediately manifested visibly, golden light suffusing his right side while shadows gathered around his left, meeting in perfectly defined harmony down his center. Ancient symbols materialized on his exposed skin, flowing in complex patterns that rearranged themselves continuously. Sakura gasped audibly, her medical training insufficient preparation for witnessing energies that transcended conventional chakra classification. Tsunade's reaction proved more measured, her eyes narrowing analytically as she activated a diagnostic technique. "Impossible," she murmured, circling Naruto with professional focus. "These energy patterns shouldn't exist within a human vessel. They're not elemental chakra or even sage energy, they're something fundamentally different." She glanced sharply at Jiraiya. Explanation. Now, for the next hour, they detailed the events since Naruto's transformation, the temple discovery, the cosmic entities, the emerging abilities, and the worrying pattern of attacks by both cultists and extra-dimensional entities. Tsunade listened without interruption, her expression growing progressively more concerned as implications became clear. "So," she summarized finally, "Naruto now channels primordial cosmic forces that predate the Sage of Six Paths, manifesting powers no current shinobi can effectively counter, while being hunted by cult fanatics and interdimensional beings opposed to his existence." She massaged her temples wearily. "And based on historical precedent, his options are godhood, madness, or becoming a dimensional exile." "That's an accurate summary," Jiraiya confirmed without his usual humor. Tsunade's gaze settled on Yugito. "And your role in this situation?" "The Two Tails contains ancestral memories of previous balanced vessels," she explained. "I see. And provides stabilization techniques and historical context unavailable elsewhere. Additionally, there appears to be a natural resonance between Jinchuriki energy and cosmic forces that facilitates control." The Hokage considered this information with calculating precision, weighing political implications against practical necessities. "I'm placing Naruto under village observation protocols," she decided. "Not restriction, but monitoring for both his protection and ours. You," she addressed Yugito, "will be classified as a specialized training consultant operating under diplomatic immunity provisions. Your presence will be reported to the Raikage through official channels, but details will remain classified." "That's surprisingly accommodating," Jiraiya noted suspiciously. Tsunade's lips curved in a humorless smile. "Political necessities. If what you've described is accurate, attempting to control or contain these powers would be both futile and potentially catastrophic. Better establish protocols now than face an international incident when some fool inevitably tries to exploit the situation." She turned to Sakura. "Assemble a specialized medical team. You, Shizune, and TW. Anbu medical specialists with highest security clearance. I want comprehensive diagnostics and monitoring systems established." "Yes, Lady Tsunade." Sakura bowed slightly, though her concerned gaze lingered on Naruto. "There's something else you should know," Naruto interjected, his voice carrying those same harmonic undertones that made everyone in the room instinctively pay attention. "When we discovered the coastal temple, I experienced visions. Possible futures or warnings, I'm not sure which." "Elaborate," Tsunade prompted. "Konoha featured prominently," he continued. "Not always as a sanctuary. There were timelines where the village became a target because of my presence, others where certain factions attempted to weaponize my abilities." His mismatched eyes, now permanently heterochromatic with one gold, one obsidian, focused meaningfully on Tsunade. Some individuals appeared repeatedly as either allies or threats. The Hokage's expression hardened with understanding. "Danzo." Naruto nodded once. "I'll handle the political dimensions," Tsunade declared. "For now, you'll report to the hospital's secure wing for baseline evaluations. Sakura, escort them through the private access routes. Minimize exposure until we've established appropriate protocols." She fixed Jiraiya with a pointed look. "You'll brief me further on these cult activities. The timing concerns me given other intelligence we've received recently." As they departed through a concealed exit that bypassed the tower's main corridors, Naruto felt the weight of returning home with his transformed existence. This wasn't the triumphant homecoming he'd once imagined, returning with impressive new jutsu to demonstrate for friends and rivals. Instead, He arrived as something fundamentally alien, a for forces that the shinobi world had forgotten existed, carrying knowledge that might protect or endanger everything he cherished. Konoha Hospital's secure research wing occupied an underground complex separate from the main medical facilities, accessible only through specialized transit seals and protected by multiple security barriers. Originally designed for containing and studying unknown pathogens or examining forbidden techniques, the facility now focused entirely on understanding Naruto's transformation. 3 days of continuous testing had yielded more questions than answers. Shizune supervised the current examination sequence, her normally gentle demeanor replaced by intense scientific focus as she analyzed results from specialized equipment. The cellular restructure ring is unlike anything in our medical records, she explained to Tsunade, who observed from behind a monitoring barrier. His DNA remains fundamentally human, but the chakra coils have undergone complete metamorphosis. They no longer merely channel energy, they actively generate it through some conversion process we can't identify. Naruto sat patiently on the examination table, now accustomed to being discussed as a medical phenomenon rather than a person. Electrodes attached to precise points across his body transmitted data to analytical systems, while specialized cameras recorded the subtle energy emissions constantly radiating from his skin. The Nine Tails chakra signature has been completely reconfigured as well, Shizune continued, adjusting instrument settings. Rather than remaining separate from Naruto's native energy, it's been integrated into this new system as a stabilizing component. Almost as if the cosmic forces recognized the Biju's energy as compatible building material. Has Kurama provided any insights? Tsunade directed the question to Naruto himself. He nodded, carefully moderating his voice to prevent the harmonic resonance that tended to disrupt sensitive equipment. He's been unusually cooperative. These energies predate the tailed beast's creation, from before the 10 tails was divided. He recognizes them as similar to what the Sage of Six Paths channeled. But purer, unfiltered by human limitations. Shizune approached with a specialized syringe designed for chakra extraction. May I? At his nod, she carefully drew a minuscule sample of high-S energy, golden light swirling with shadow in perfect suspension within the specialized container. Fascinating. Perfect equilibrium within the sample despite separation from your body. These energies maintain their properties independent of your conscious control. The analytical process continued for several more hours, each test more specialized than the last. Naruto maintained perfect patience throughout, his transformed consciousness perceiving each diagnostic sequence as necessary steps in understanding his new existence. The temple training had emphasized acceptance rather than resistance, flow rather than force. As the day's final tests concluded, Shizune dismissed the technical specialists, remaining behind to organize research notes. Her methodical movements and focused expressions revealed genuine scientific curiosity beneath professional detachment. You've been working for 72 hours straight, Naruto observed quietly. That can't be healthy, even for a medical specialist. Shizune glanced up in surprise, her exhaustion momentarily visible before professional composure reasserted itself. There's too much data to process, too many anomalies to categorize. SA energies represent an entirely new branch of medical science. They're not just research subjects, he reminded her gently. They're part of me now. And I don't think they appreciate being reduced to data points. Her expression softened apologetically. I'm sorry, Naruto. It's easy to forget the person when confronted with such extraordinary phenomena. She set aside her notes, suddenly looking genuinely concerned. How are you actually feeling? Not as a research subject, but as yourself. The simple human question after days of clinical analysis struck an unexpected emotional chord. Changed, he answered honestly. Sometimes I feel like two different beings occupying the same space, the person I was and this cosmic awareness that experiences reality completely differently. He flexed his fingers, watching as golden light and shadow danced between them. Basic things like hunger or fatigue register differently now. My body still requires sustenance, but it's like the cosmic energies supplement physical needs. Shizune listened attentively, her analytical mind cataloging these subjective experiences alongside empirical data. And emotionally, personality shifts have been documented in cases of significant chakra system alteration. My core remains intact, Naruto assured her. My values, memories, connections, they haven't changed. But my perspective has expanded. I perceive consequences more clearly. Understand connections that were invisible before. He smiled slightly. I'm still me, just with cosmic footnotes attached to every thought. This description elicited a genuine laugh from Shizune, the first he'd heard since returning to Konoha. The sound brightened the sterile environment, momentarily transforming the clinical space into something more personal. Well, cosmic footnotes and heterochromia, she noted, indicating his mismatched eyes. Though I must admit, the effect is rather striking. Before he could respond, the security barrier shimmered as someone requested entry. Shizune verified the identification signature before authorizing access. The barrier parted to reveal Hinata Hyuga, dressed in formal clan attire rather than her usual mission gear. Her posture reflecting newfound confidence despite her characteristic modesty. Hinata, Naruto greeted her warmly, genuinely pleased by the unexpected visit. Naruto, she replied, her light stutter betraying lingering shyness despite her more assured bearing. Her pearl-like eyes widened as she registered his transformed appearance. You've changed. Shizune gathered her materials efficiently. I'll give you two some privacy. The monitoring systems remain active, but audio recording is disabled within standard visitor protocols. She nodded respectfully to Hinata before departing. Don't overtax him, please. We have resonance mapping scheduled tomorrow morning. As the barrier resealed behind Shizune, an unexpected tension filled the space between them. Hinata had matured. During Naruto's absence, her features more defined, her presence more substantial. She carried herself with the quiet dignity of a clan heir who had finally earned recognition, though her essential gen. Lennis remained untouched by political necessities. The Hokage informed the clan heads about your situation, Hinata explained, carefully selecting her words. As Hyuga heir, I volunteered to assess your condition with our visual techniques. But that's not why I'm really here. Her voice strengthened with determination. I came because I was worried about you. The simple honesty of her concern touched something within Naruto that transcended his cosmic awareness. I appreciate that more than you know, he replied sincerely. These past weeks haven't been easy. Hinata approached cautiously, her trained eyes already analyzing the visible manifestations of his transformed chakra system. May I? She requested, gesturing toward his energy pathways. At his nod, she activated her Byakugan. The characteristic veins appeared around her eyes as her Kekkei Genkei engaged, then something unexpected happened. Where the typical Byakugan manifestation should have stabilized, Hinata's eyes continued evolving. The veins grew more pronounced, extending in delicate patterns across her temples, while her irises shifted from pale lavender to luminescent pearl with fractal patterns radiating from the pupils. Hinata, Naruto questioned, concerned by this unexpected development. She gasped softly, her transformed gaze fixed not on him but apparently through him, perceiving layers of reality beyond normal Byakugan capacity. I can see everything, she whispered, awe and confusion mingling in her voice. Your chakra network isn't just changed, it's become a conduit for something vast. Her enhanced vision traced patterns invisible to conventional perception. There are connections extending beyond physical space, threads of energy linking to other dimensions. Naruto moved toward her with concern as her body swayed slightly from the perceptual overload. Maybe you should deactivate. No, she insisted, though her voice remained gentle. This is important. Your energy has transformed my Byakugan somehow. I'm seeing aspects of chakra theory that our clan has only theorized about for generations. Her enhanced gaze focused intently on his central chakra pathways. The energies aren't merely balanced. They're creating entirely new possibility matrices with each circulation. Your entire system functions as a reality stabilization nexus. The technical precision of her analysis surprised him. This wasn't the hesitant girl he remembered, but a perceptive woman with profound analytical abilities. Can you describe what you're seeing more specifically? Hinata's transformed eyes narrowed in concentration. Traditional chakra moves like water through established channels. Yours moves like light through crystal, refracting into spectra that shouldn't be possible. She circled him slowly, examining from different angles. The golden energy creates while the shadow dissolves, but they're not opposing forces, they're complementary aspects of the same fundamental principle. Like inhalation and exhalation in a single breath. Her insights matched precisely what the temple records had described, concepts Naruto had struggled to articulate even after weeks of training. That's exactly right, he confirmed, impressed by her intuitive understanding. The cosmic forces aren't truly separate, just different expressions of the same underlying reality. Hinata nodded, her enhanced perception cataloging details with remarkable precision. The Nine Tails chakra has been completely restructured as well. Instead of fighting your system, it's been integrated as a foundational component. The seal has evolved beyond its original parameters. As she completed her analysis, Hinata attempted to deactivate her Byakugan, only to discover the transformation had become semi-permanent. The pronounced veins receded slightly, but her eyes retained their pearlescent luminescence and expanded perceptual capacity. I can't fully deactivate it, she realized with surprise rather than alarm. Your energies have triggered some kind of evolution in my bloodline. I'm sorry, Naruto apologized immediately, concerned about unintentional consequences. I should have considered that possibility. Hinata shook her head gently. Don't apologize. This feels right, somehow. Like potential that always existed within our bloodline, merely awaiting the proper catalyst. She blinked several times, adjusting to her permanently enhanced perception. I can modulate the intensity, but the baseline has shifted permanently. Their conversation was interrupted by the security barrier activating again. Tsunade entered briskly, immediately noting Hinata's transformed eyes with sharp medical focus. Interesting, the Hokage observed, approaching to examine the Hyuga heir more closely. Bloodline resonance effect. We should have anticipated this possibility. She performed a quick diagnostic technique, nodding with professional satisfaction at the results. No pathological changes, just accelerated evolution of existing genetic potential. Your clan will find this development quite significant. My father must be informed, Hinata acknowledged, though with the trepidation such a statement would have carried years earlier. Though I believe discretion regarding the specific catalyst would be wise until we understand the full implications. Tsunade's approving nod acknowledged the political acumen behind this suggestion. Indeed, for now, we'll classify this as spontaneous bloodline advancement triggered by specialized training. She turned to Naruto, her expression shifting to reflect more urgent matters. The council has been informed of your return and changed status. As expected, Danzo has requested immediate security evaluation of your abilities. Naruto exchanged knowing glances with Hinata, whose enhanced perception undoubtedly detected his concern. What form will this evaluation take? Officially, a controlled demonstration for the council's security committee. Tsunade replied, her tone conveying deeper implications. Unofficially, an opportunity for Danzo to assess your capabilities for his own purposes. Her expression hardened with determination. I've structured protocols to limit his maneuvering, but be prepared for provocations designed to test your control. When? Naruto asked simply. Tomorrow at sundown. Forest of Death training grounds have been cleared and secured for the demonstration. Tsunade's gaze shifted between them meaningfully. Hinata's presence would be beneficial as an objective blood-line specialist with relevant perceptual abilities. Her clan position provides political counterbalance to Danzo's influence. Hinata straightened with quiet determination. I would be honored to serve in this capacity, Lady Hokage. After finalizing arrangements for the following day's demonstration, Tsunade departed to handle administrative preparations, leaving Naruto and Hinata alone once more. An unspoken understanding had formed between them, something deeper than their previous relationship yet still undefined. Your confidence has grown, Naruto observed with genuine admiration. The political dynamics didn't intimidate you at all. A subtle blush colored Hinata's cheeks, though her newfound poise remained unshaken. Much changed during your absence. My father finally acknowledged my potential, and I've been assuming greater responsibilities within clan leadership. Her transformed eyes met his mismatched gaze directly. I discovered that quiet strength is still strength, just expressed differently. It suits you, he replied sincerely. Their moment of connection was interrupted by a medical technician arriving with evening protocols, politely indicating that visiting hours had concluded. As Hinata prepared to leave, she hesitated at the barrier threshold. "Whatever you've become," she said softly, "your heart remains unchanged. Remember that tomorrow when they try to see only the power and not the person." Her insight, simple yet profound, remained with Naruto long after she departed, providing unexpected comfort as he contemplated the political challenges ahead. The Forest of Death had been transformed from training ground to evaluation arena through extensive preparation. Security perimeters extended in concentric circles from the central clearing, staffed by elite Anbu operatives positioned at strategic intervals. Observation platforms had been constructed at a supposedly safe distance, though Naruto noted the specialized barrier techniques NTE graded into their structures, protection against powers the council clearly didn't trust. Tsunade occupied the central platform alongside the village elders and security council members. Danzo sat slightly apart, his visible eye revealing nothing while his bandaged face remained impassive. Various clan heads attended as observers, including Hiyashi Hyuga, whose stoic expression betrayed no reaction to his daughter's evolved Byakugan. Hinata herself stood at a specialized monitoring station, her transformed eyes allowing her to observe energy patterns invisible to others. The security evaluation will proceed according to established protocols, Tsunade announced formally. Naruto Uzumaki will demonstrate controlled application of his abilities under monitored conditions. Shizune will evade medical oversight while Hinata Hyuga offers specialized perceptual analysis. Jiraiya and Yugito observed from a separate position, the Sanin's expression unusually serious while the Kumo Jinc. Hariki maintained careful neutrality despite the suspicious glances directed her way. Their presence represented both protection and evaluation, ready to intervene if the demonstration exceeded safety parameters. Naruto stood alone in the clearing's center, dressed in specialized garments designed by Konoha's research division to accommodate his energy emissions without interference. The cosmic bowls remained visible through the fabric, pulsing in synchronized patterns across his skin. Begin with baseline energy manifestation, Tsunade directed, following the predetermined sequence. Naruto nodded, centering himself as the temple training had taught. With practiced focus, he allowed the cosmic energies to emerge gradually, first as subtle illumination, then as visible auras of gold and shadow extending approximately 1 meter from his body in perfectly balanced proportion. The surrounding atmosphere responded with subtle pressure changes, while nearby plant life either accelerated growth or gently withered depending on proximity to creation or destruction aspects. Monitoring instruments recorded these effects while Hinata's enhanced vision tracked the energy patterns extending beyond conventional perception. Controlled emission within expected parameters, she reported professionally. Dimensional resonance stable, no boundary deterioration detected. Tsunade nodded with satisfaction, preparing to announce the next demonstration phase when Danzo intervened unexpectedly. This carefully choreographed exhibition tells us nothing useful about threat containment, he stated flatly. Rising from his seated position, demonstrating control under ideal conditions proves only that preparation can create illusions of safety. A tense silence followed this challenge. Tsunade's expression tightened with carefully controlled anger. The evaluation protocols were approved by the full council, Danzo. Deviation risks both the subject and observers. A risk justified by village security concerns. He countered smoothly. I've taken the liberty of arranging a more practical assessment. He made a subtle gesture, and 4 root operatives appeared at the clearing's perimeter. Their blank masks betraying no emotion as they deployed specialized equipment. What is the meaning of this? Tsunade demanded, her chakra flaring with barely suppressed rage. Merely a realistic stress test. Danzo replied with false reasonableness. If these cosmic powers truly pose no threat to Konoha, they should remain stable under adverse conditions. Before anyone could intervene, root operatives activated their devices simultaneously. Specialized ceiling arrays projected energy fields designed to disrupt chakra networks, technology clearly adapted from forbidden research. fields converged on Naruto from 4 directions, creating a containment system that immediately interfered with his balance mechanisms. Pain lanced through Naruto's body as the cosmic energies reacted violently to external manipulation. Golden cracks appeared in his skin as creation energy sought escape, while shadows leaked from his left side in tendrils that dissolved anything they contacted. The carefully maintained equilibrium began deteriorating rapidly. "Shut it down immediately," Tsunade commanded, already moving to intervene personally. "Interference would invalidate the assessment," Danzo countered calmly. "We must observe full response parameters under duress." Through the mounting agony, Naruto maintained enough awareness to recognize the true purpose behind this test, not evaluation but provocation. Designed to trigger catastrophic imbalance that would justify containment protocols. With supreme effort, he focused on the techniques Yugito had taught him for emergency stabilization. Creating internal partitions to isolate the disrupted energy patterns. "His network is destabilizing," Hinata reported urgently, her enhanced vision perceiving the dangerous fluctuations invisible to others. "The containment fields are creating harmonic interference that amplifies imbalance rather than suppressing output. If this continues," her warning was interrupted as reality itself seemed to shudder around Naruto. The cosmic energies, prevented from maintaining natural equilibrium, began restructuring local physics to accommodate their expression. Gravity wavered unpredictably within the clearing, while temporal distortions created visible ripples in the air, acceleration and deceleration effects that caused plant life to cycle through seasons in seconds. Throughout the mounting chaos, Naruto remained the eye of the storm, physically unmoving yet engaging in desperate internal battle to prevent total destabilization. His consciousness expanded beyond normal parameters, accessing knowledge embedded within the cosmic forces themselves. Through this expanded awareness, he perceived Danzo's true intention with perfect clarity, to force a catastrophic event that would justify Naruto's classification as village weapon requiring root supervision. With that understanding came unexpected calmness. Rather than fighting the disruption fields directly, Naruto redirected his focus to the fundamental nature of balance itself. Creation and destruction weren't merely opposing forces but complementary aspects of a singular reality, like two hands belonging to the same body, capable of working in harmony rather than opposition. Acting on this realization, he stopped attempting to equalize the energies and instead unified them completely. Gold and shadow merged into something entirely new, a prismatic energy that transcended both while incorporating aspects of each. This unified force expanded outward in a perfect sphere, encountering the disruption fields not as an opposing power but as a transcendent state that rendered their interference meaningless. The root equipment shorted out simultaneously, their specialized seals dissolving into base components as the prismatic energy passed through them. The sphere continued expanding until it encompassed the entire clearing before dissipating harmlessly, leaving perfect stillness in its wake. Where the energy had passed, a curious effect remained. Plants appeared perfectly balanced at the peak of health, neither growing nor decaying but existing in ideal stasis. Complete silence fell across the observatee. On platforms as witnesses struggled to comprehend what they had observed. Naruto stood unharmed at the clearing's center, the cosmic symbols now pulsing with prismatic light rather than alternating gold and shadow. His mismatched eyes glowed with the same transcendent energy as he regarded Danzo with calm awareness rather than anger. "Your test is concluded," he stated simply, his voice carrying harmonic frequencies that resonated through everyone present. "Though perhaps not with the results you anticipated." Danzo's expression remained impassive, though the slight tightening of his jaw betrayed suppressed frustration. Before he could respond, Tsunade intervened with the full authority of her position. "This unauthorized deviation from established protocols constitutes a direct violation of Hokage authority," she declared, her voice carrying the weight of office rather than personal anger. "The Security Council will address these actions formally. For now, the evaluation is concluded." The aftermath unfolded with tense efficiency, medical teams verifying observer safety while Anbu secured the disruption devices as evidence. Throughout the controlled chaos, Hinata maintained her monitoring position, her enhanced vision cataloging the lingering effects of Naruto's energy manifestation with scientific precision. "Remarkable adaptation," she murmured when he approached her sta. Tian after the immediate crisis had passed. "You didn't just resist the disruption, you transcended the binary limitations altogether." "It wasn't conscious technique," Naruto admitted quietly. "More like remembering something I'd always known but temporarily forgotten." Her transformed eyes studied him with perception that went beyond physical observation. "The prismatic energy represents your T. Ru potential. Neither creation nor destruction exclusively, but something that incorporates and transcends both. She hesitated before adding, "It's beautiful." The simple observation, offered without scientific qualification or political calculation, touched something profound within him. "Thank you," he replied sincerely, "for seeing the person, not just the power." Their conversation was interrupted as Tsunade approached, her expression reflecting both concern and guarded optimism. "The council is divided in their assessment," she informed them quietly. "Some recognize the control you demonstrated under provocation. Others see only the potential threat." Her gaze shifted meaningfully toward Danzo, who was departing with his route escorts. "Political maneuvering has already begun. Danzo will argue for specialized containment protocols while positioning his faction as necessary oversight." Unsurprising, Hinata observed with political insight that still seemed novel coming from her. The evolved Byakugan perceives more than chakra patterns, intention registers as distinct energy configurations. His resonance during the disruption event indicated predetermined expectations that weren't met. Tsunade raised an eyebrow, clearly reassessing the Hyuga heir's capabilities. "Your enhanced perception may prove invaluable in the coming council deliberations." She returned her attention to Naruto. "For now, security protocols remain unchanged, though I've authorized expanded movement permissions within village boundaries. Your response today demonstrated sufficient control to justify reduced restrictions." As arrangements were finalized for his return to monitored accommodations, Naruto sensed a subtle disturbance in the dimensional fabric surrounding Konoha, not immediate danger, but watchfulness from entities beyond conventional perception. The cosmic awareness that accompanied his transformation detected multiple observers focusing attention on the village, drawn by the prismatic energy's manifestation. This development concerned him more than Danzo's political maneuvering. The council could be navigated through diplomatic channels and strategic alliances, but raw dimensional attention carried implications beyond Konoha's defensive capabilities. If his presence attracted these entities to the village, he potentially endangered everyone simply by remaining. Moonlight filtered through reinforced windows, casting silver patterns across Naruto's temporary quarters in Konoha Hospital's secure wing. Unable to sleep, he stood at the window, gazing across the village with perception that extended far beyond normal vision. His transformed consciousness registered the complex energy patterns of thousands of sleeping civilians, the disciplined chakra signatures of patrolling Anbu, and the subtle protective barriers interwoven throughout village infrastructure. 3 weeks had passed since the evaluation incident. Political tensions had stabilized into uneasy equilibrium. Danzo's faction advocating stricter controls balanced against Tsunade's more measured approach, with clan interests providing crucial swing votes depending on specific proposals. Throughout these political machinations, Naruto had focused on practical matters, refining control techniques, documenting power parameters for research purposes, and carefully testing integration capabilities within village life. Yugito had departed 2 weeks earlier, recalled by increasingly pointed messages from Kumogakure leadership. Their parting had been professional yet tinged with unexpected connection, a bond formed through shared experiences that transcended village allegiances. She had promised continued correspondence regarding control techniques, though both understood such communication would necessarily pass through official channels with appropriate security protocols. A soft knock interrupted his moonlit contemplation. The door opened to reveal Shizune, her expression bitter, eyeing surprise at finding him awake at such a late hour. "Forgive the intrusion," she apologized quietly. "I thought you'd be asleep. The overnight monitoring showed unusual energy fluctuations, so I came to check personally." "I don't require much sleep anymore," Naruto explained, gesturing toward the moon. "Cosmic cycles affect the balance patterns. Lunar transitions especially tend to increase energy output." Shizune entered fully, carrying a specialized monitoring device that hummed softly as it analyzed surrounding energy patterns. Her professional demeanor had softened gradually over weeks of regular interaction, medical detachment giving way to genuine scientific curiosity and personal concern. "The prismatic integration is maintaining stability," she noted, studying the readouts with approval. "Much more efficient than the binary balance state you initially manifested." She glanced up with characteristic directness. "But something's troubling you. Your cognitive patterns." How characteristic stress indicators despite stable energy readings. Naruto smiled slightly at her perceptiveness. You've become quite adept at reading these energies. 3 weeks of daily analyse provides adequate pattern recognition, she replied with professional modesty that didn't quite mask genuine pride in her accomplishment. Though I'm still documenting new expressions regularly. She set aside the monitoring device, her manner shifting from medical specialist to concerned friend. What's keeping you awake? He hesitated briefly before deciding transparency served better than concealment. I've been sensing dimensional observers, entities beyond conventional reality focusing attention on Konoha because of my presence. He turned from the window to face her directly. My excess tense here potentially endangers everyone. Shizune absorbed this revelation with thoughtful consideration rather than immediate alarm, a response that reflected her growing comfort with cosmic concept. That would have seemed incomprehensibly esoteric weeks earlier. Have these observers demonstrated hostile intent? She inquired pragmatically. Not directly, Naruto acknowledged. Most seem merely curious, like scientists studying an unexpected phenomenon. But some carry resonance patterns similar to the void messenger we encountered during my initial transformation. Their attention feels hungrier. Then we develop appropriate countermeasures, Shizune stated with practical determination. Every challenge has a solution when properly understood. She hesitated before adding more personally. Your presence here isn't solely a risk factor, Naruto. The protective applications of your abilities have already demonstrated significant potential. He appreciated her pragmatic optimism. So different from either blind faith or paranoid security concerns that dominated council discussions. Shizune had developed a unique perspective through her research, recognizing both extraordinary potential and legitimate concerns without allowing either to overshadow the other. There's something else, he admitted, trusting her balanced judgment. The cosmic awareness keeps showing me potent IAL paths, possible futures branching from current decision points. Many involve leaving Konoha, seeking specific locations or individuals connected to these powers. The temple records mentioned Alar guidance experiences in previous vessels, Shizune recalled, her excellent memory retrieving relevant research immediately. Intuitive direction toward resources or knowledge necessary for development. Exactly. But following these paths means leaving village protection at a politically complex time. Understanding dawned in her expression. You're concerned about appearances, abandoning No just when Danzo's faction has positioned you as a potential flight risk requiring preventative restrictions. The timing couldn't be worse, Naruto confirmed. Yet the guidance grows more insistent daily. Something important awaits discovery, something connected to desert environments specifically. Shizune considered this information with the methodical thoroughness that characterized her approach to complex problems. Perhaps there's a diplomatic solution that serves multiple objectives simultaneously. Her eyes brightened with inspiration. The Chunin exam's preliminary discussions begin next month in Sunagaku. Lady Tsunade has been considering appropriate diplomatic representation. The elegant simplicity of her suggestion impressed him, addressing both political necessities and cosmic guidance through established diplomatic channels. A village representative to preliminary negotiations would have legitimate reason to visit Suna, with appropriate security protocols satisfied through official mission parameters. Precisely, Shizune confirmed, pleased by his quick understanding. I'll suggest the arrangement to Lady Tsunade tomorrow. With proper framing, the council would have difficulty raising reasonable objections to standard diplomatic processes. Their conversation continued into the early morning hours, discussing practical arrangements and potential arch objectives that might justify desert exploration within mission parameters. Throughout their planning, Naruto found himself appreciating Shizune's unique combination of scientific precision and practical creativity, qualities often overshadowed by her customary position in Tsunade's shadow. Dawn found them still conversing, their discussion having evolved from immediate concerns to broader philosophical questions about cosmic balance and its relationship to conventional chakra theory. Shizune's perspective proved uniquely valuable, her medical training providing structural frameworks for understanding energy systems while her naturally inquisitive mind remained open to paradigm-shifting concepts. As morning light replaced moonlight, Naruto realized that hours of conversation had produced CED, the most balanced energy state he'd experienced since returning to Konoha. Something about Shizun's analytical approach and genuine curiosity created a resonance pattern that naturally stabilized his cosmic energies, an effect worth documenting for future reference. Their planning session concluded with practical next steps clearly established. As Shizun gathered her notes and monitoring equipment, she paused at the doorway with uncharacteristic hesitation. "Whatever path opens before you," she said quietly, "remember that some connections transcend physical proximity. Knowledge shared creates bonds that persist regardless of distance." The sentiment, offered with sincere professional affection rather than merely reassuring platitudes, resonated deeply. "I'll remember," Naruto promised. "And document everything for your research archives." Her smile acknowledged the deliberate lightening of tone while accepting the genuine commitment beneath it. "See that you do." Scientific PR. Obris depends on meticulous observation. After her departure, Naruto returned to the window, watching as Konoha awakened to morning routines. The village had been his anchor and identity for so long. The place he'd desperately sought acknowledgement and belonging. Now cosmic awareness revealed it as simultaneously precious and limiting, one point in a vast interconnected reality rather than the entirety of meaningful existence. Whatever diplomatic solution emerged from Shizun's suggestion, fundamental truth remained unavoidable. His journey had expanded beyond Konoha's boundaries. The question wasn't whether he would follow the cosmic guidance but how to do so while honoring connections that remained vital to his humanity. The Hokage's office hummed with administrative activity as Tsunade reviewed the diplomatic proposal before her. Morning sunlight streamed through panoramic windows, illuminating document stacks with golden brilliance that seemed to emphasize their importance. Shizun stood attentively nearby while Naruto waited with newfound patience, the cosmic energies within him maintained at perfect equilibrium. Suna's request for specialized consultation regarding unexplained energy phenomena provides perfect cover, Tsunade mused, studying the carefully worded mission parameters. Combined with preliminary Chunin exam discussions, this creates legitimate diplomatic framework for your desert expedition. Her amber eyes narrowed thoughtfully. Though Danzo will immediately suspect alternative motives, his suspicions lack relevance if procedural requirements are satisfied. Shizun pointed out pragmatically. The council approved standard diplomatic protocols last session. This mission falls entirely within established parameters. Tsunade's lips curve, in subtle appreciation of the elegant political maneuvering. Indeed, and Gaara's personal request for Naruto specifically provides additional diplomatic justification that even Danzo will struggle to counter effectively. She signed the mission authorization with decisive strokes. Preparations will commence immediately. Departure scheduled for 3 days hence, pending final security protocols. As they discussed logistical arrangements, alarms suddenly blared throughout the administrative complex, the distinctive three-tone sequence indicating perimeter breach by hostile forces. Before anyone could react, the specialized detection seals embedded in Naruto's monitoring bracelet activated simultaneously, registering massive energy disturbance approaching Konoha's eastern boundary. "Multiple hostile signatures," reported the Anbu commander who materialized beside Tsunade's desk. "Unknown classification, non-standard chakra patterns. Preliminary assessment suggests coordinated strike. Team with specialized targeting parameters." Naruto's cosmic awareness expanded instantly, perceiving disturbances invisible to conventional detection systems. "They're not targeting Konoha," he stated with absolute certainty. "They're targeting me specifically. The energy signatures match the cultists we encountered after my initial transformation, Entropy's children." "How many?" Tsunade demanded, already activating village defense protocols. 7 primary operatives, Naruto replied, cosmic perception cataloging distinct energy patterns. "But they're channeling something larger, a partia. Manifestation of extra-dimensional force." Without waiting for authorization, he moved toward the panoramic windows, cosmic symbols materializing across his skin as prismatic energy gathered around his form. "I need to intercept them before they reach populated areas. Their abilities are specifically designed to counteract balance energies through localized reality disruption." "Absolutely not," Tsunade countered firmly. "Village defense protocols exist precisely for these scenarios. You'll remain under protection while Anbu special units engage." Her objection died mid-sentence as reality itself shuddered visibly. Ripples propagating through the office as though solid matter had become liquid momentarily. The effect passed quickly but left lingering distortion. Colors slightly shifted, surfaces subtly altered in texture. Gravity minutely but perceptibly reduced. Reality degradation effect, Naruto identified immediately. Their dimensional tampering is already affecting village infrastructure. Conventional forces can't counter this type of attack effectively. Tsunade's expression hardened with reluctant acceptance. Specialized threat response authorized, she conceded. But not alone. Coordinated defense with Anbu support under direct Hokage command authority. Within minutes, they had relocated to Konoha's eastern defensive position, where village Jonin had Establish. Head containment perimeters around the approaching threat. The cultists advanced with unnatural synchronization, their ash-gray skin covered in glowing sigils that pulsed with sickly green light. Tai distortions radiated from their formation, causing architectural elements to warp and vegetation to transform into crystalline structures that shattered at the slightest contact. Maintain distance, Naruto instructed the assembled ninja, his voice carrying harmonics that ensured absolute attention. Their presence corrupts local physics. Conventional jutsu will function unpredictably within the distortion field. From his elevated observation position, Naruto analyzed the attack pattern with cosmic perception. The cultists maintained perfect heptagonal formation, each position corresponding to specific energy disruption function. At their center floated a crystalline container housing swirling darkness that periodically extended tentacle-like projections through dimensional barriers. They've brought an entropy fragment, he realized with alarm, recognizing the extra-dimensional entity from temple warning descriptions. A portion of void consciousness contained in specialized housing. They intend to release it within the village. Estimated catastrophic impact, Tsunade demanded, her medical knowledge allowing quick assessment of potential casualty scenarios. Total molecular destabilization within approximate 3-kilometer radius, Naruto replied grimly. Followed by cascading reality failure extending outward at exponential rates. Without further discussion, Tsunade activated the village's highest-level emergency protocols, civilian evacuation to underground shelters while specialized barrier teams prepared last-resort containment measures. Throughout the controlled chaos of emergency response, she maintained absolute command presence, coordinating complex operations with the efficiency that had made her legendary as both medical specialist and Hokage. Quote, "We can't permit them to reach population centers," she stated flatly. Interception at maximum safe distance is priority. What's your assessment of effective countermeasures? Naruto analyzed the approaching formation. Cosmic awareness identifying structural vulnerabilities invisible to conventional perception. The entropy fragment requires perfect heptagonal containment. Disrupting their formation should prevent full manifestation. Though individual cultists remain dangerous. Precision strike capability, Tsunade inquired, already assembling specialized units. Their dimensional distort, ion renders conventional projectiles unpredictable, he cautioned. But I can establish a localized balance field that should normalize physics within its boundary, allowing standard combat techniques to function properly. Shizune, who had accompanied them to the defensive position, offered unexpected tactical insight. If you establish balance parameters, I can coordinate medical counter-techniques to neutralize their biological enhancements. Those sigils appear to be symbiotic organisms rather than mere markings. The elegant simplicity of her observation impressed everyone present. Tsunade nodded sharply in approval. Coordinate with Captain Yamato's team. His wood release provides optimal delivery system for medical counter-agents within a balanced field. As final preparations concluded, Naruto moved to the forward defensive position, cosmic energies gathering visibly around his form. The prismatic light extended outward in controlled expansion, establishing a hemispherical bow. Underi approximately 50 meters in diameter. Within this balance field, reality stabilized, colors returning to normal spectrum, gravity resuming standard parameters, architectural elements straightening to proper configuration. The cultists hesitated at this unexpected development, their synchronized movement briefly disrupted as local physics reasserted normal function within the balance field. That momentary confusion provided the opening Konoha's forces required. Yamato's team struck with precision coordination, would release constructs delivering Shizune's specialized medical countermeasures. shores directly to vulnerable points in cultist physiology. Where these agents contacted the glowing sigils, the symbiotic organisms separated from host bodies, disrupting the enhanced capabilities they provided. The heptagonal formation deteriorated as individual cultists lost specialized functions, their previously perfect synchronization falling into disarray. With the formation broken, the ropey fragment contained in the crystalline housing began destabilizing, dark tendrils lashing outward in increasingly erratic patterns. The container is fracturing, Naruto warned, cosmic perception. Detecting imminent catastrophic release. If the fragment escapes completely, even the balance field won't contain it effectively. Acting on instinct guided by cosmic knowledge, he advanced into the chaos. Prismatic energy focusing into concentrated form around his hands. As he approached the destabilizing container, the entropy fragment reacted violently, reality warping dramatically as it MPTED to break dimensional barriers and fully manifest. 3 cultists broke from their disorganized defense to intercept him, their partially deactivated sigils still providing enhanced combat capabilities. They attacked simultaneously with weapons that disrupted molecular cohesion on contact, leaving voids in any matter they touched. Naruto moved with fluid grace, his transformed consciousness, perceiving combat variables with perfect clarity. Rather than engaging directly, he established localized balance points within each attacker's energy system, not destroying but harmonizing the corrupt forces they channeled. One by one, they collapsed as internal balance asserted itself against program destruction, their consciousness liberated from external control. With the path cleared, he reached the crystalline container just as fractures propagated across its surface. Dark essence leaked through these openings, each droplet dissolving reality where it landed. Without hesitation, Naruto placed both hands on the container. Prismatic energy flowing directly into the containment system. What followed transcended conventional perception. Those observing saw only Naruto standing motionless, hands pressed against the crystal while prismatic light enveloped both him and the container in blinding brilliance. Within that light, a battle raged across multiple dimensional planes, consciousness against consciousness. Balance against entropy, creation-destruction harmony against fundamental unmaking. The entropy fragment fought with primordial awareness, attempting to corrupt Naruto's energy balance through conceptual contamination rather than physical attack. It projected understanding of ultimate futility, heat death of universes, inevitable decay of all systems, the final victor. Why of disorder over order across sufficient timescales? Rather than rejecting these concepts, Naruto's cosmic awareness integrated them into expanded understanding, acknowledging entropy as essential component within greater balance rather than absolute end state. Creation required destruction to prevent stagnation. Destruction required creation to prevent emptiness. Neither represented ultimate reality but complementary aspects of continuous process. This realization manifested as transformed prismatic energy, no longer merely harmonizing opposing forces but transcending false dichotomy altogether. The corrupted container shattered completely, releasing the entropy fragment into direct contact with this transcendent understanding. For one breathless moment, absolute stillness fell across the battlefield as dimensional boundaries flexed under immense metaphysical pressure. Then, with sudden anticlimactic simplicity, the fragment dissipated, not destroyed but transformed, its fundamental nature restructured from corrupt imbalance to constituent components that reintegrated with natural cycles. Where the container had stood, only crystalline dust remained, swirling briefly in the morning breeze before settling across the disturbed earth. Naruto remained standing, the prismatic energy gradually receding as balance field normalized. Tsunade approached cautiously, professional SS meant searching for signs of negative consequences from direct contact with the entropy fragment. Finding none, her expression shifted to guarded approval. Effective neutralization, she acknowledged. Surveying the fallen cultists who now appeared as ordinary humans, their gray coloration and sigils completely absent. Though your intervention exceeded tactical parameters, some threats can't be engaged from safe distance. Naruto replied simply, cosmic awareness already confirming no lingering dimensional instabilities remained. Shizune supervised medical teams securing the former cultists for treatment and interrogation. Her analytical mind cataloging physiological transformations for future research. Complete symbiont separation, she reported with clinical precision. Preliminar. Y assessment suggests these individuals were unwilling hosts rather than voluntary participants. This observation shifted the operational context significantly, from enemy combatants to victims requiring rehabilitation. Tsunade immediately adjusted protocols, prioritizing medical intervention over security concerns despite Danzo's representatives arguing for stricter containment. Their recovery may provide crucial intelligence regarding cult operations and recruitment methods, she noted strategically, effectively countering security objections with practical intelligence gathering priorities. As cleanup operations progressed efficiently, Naruto withdrew slightly from the immediate activity, cosmic awareness processing implications from the encounter. The cultists had targeted him with unprecedented directness, suggesting his presence in Konoha endangered the village regardless of protective measures. Additionally, the entropy fragment's partial manifestation indicated escalating extra-dimensional interest in his developing abilities. Hinata approached quietly, her enhanced Byakugan active as she analyzed lingering energy patterns invisible to others. The dimensional boundaries have fully restabilized, she confirmed, her perception extending beyond conventional limitations. Though residual entropy signatures suggest similar manifestation attempts elsewhere globally. You can perceive that level of detail? Naruto asked, impressed by her evolving capabilities. She nodded, a subtle confidence underlying her characteristic modesty. The enhanced Byakugan continues developing new perceptual modes. Recent meditation techniques have expanded range significantly. Her pearlescent eyes met his mismatched gaze directly. You're considering accelerating your departure. The accurate assessment of his internal deliberations didn't surprise him. Her perceptiveness had always extended beyond mere visual acuity to genuine understanding. This attack confirms what the cosmic awareness has been indicating. My presence here draws dangerous attention to Konoha. Yet leaving without proper preparation carries different risks, she countered gently. The council meeting, tomorrow will address diplomatic mission parameters, including appropriate protective measures during your Sunagaku assignment. Her diplomatic framing, presenting established plans rather than debating fundamental necessity, reflected political acumen that continued to impress him. Hinata had developed sophisticated negotiation skills that complemented her natural empathy, creating remarkably effective persuasive capability. Until then, she continued with quiet determination, perhaps we should focus on immediate recovery operations rather than accelerated timelines. The gentle redire. Seishin succeeded where direct confrontation might have failed. Naruto nodded in acknowledgement, allowing immediate practical concerns to temporarily supersede longer-term planning. Together they rejoined the main operational groups, contributing their specialized perceptual abilities to verification protocols ensuring no lingering dimensional anomalies remained undetected. As afternoon transitioned toward evening, the attack's immediate consequences had been addressed through Konoha's efficient emergency response systems. Civilian evacuation orders were rescinded, infrastructure repairs commenced, and medical teams established appropriate treatment protocols for the recovered cultists. Throughout these operations, village leadership maintained carefully balanced public messaging, acknowledging the incident while preventing unnecessary panic through transparency regarding containment effectiveness. That evening, as Naruto returned to his temporary quarters in the hospital's secure wing, he found Tsunade awaiting him with formal documentation. Her expression combined Hokage authority with personal concern that transcended official responsibilities. The diplomatic mission parameters have been revised following today's incident, she informed him directly. Departure timeline accelerated to tomorrow evening, security protocols enhanced accordingly. She handed him the authorization documents bearing official seals. The council has approved by emergency vote, with even Danzo's faction acknowledging that investigating desert phenomena may provide critical intelligence regarding these attacks. Naruto accepted the documentation, recognizing this development as pragmatic response to demonstrated threats rather than capitulation to his personal concerns. Thank you for expediting arrangements. Tsunade's expression softened slightly, though her posture maintained formal authority. This doesn't represent exile or abandonment of village responsibility. You remain a Kono, a shinobi on official diplomatic assignment, with appropriate reporting protocols and support infrastructure. Her amber eyes conveyed meaning beyond official parameters. But we both recognize that our journey necessarily extends beyond conventional mission frameworks. The acknowledgement of dual purpose, official diplomatic function alongside personal cosmic development, demonstrated the complex understanding that made Tsunade an exceptional leader. She could simultaneously maintain institutional requirements while recognizing realities that transcended established systems. "I won't forget where I come from," Naruto assured her. The promise encompassing both village loyalty and maintained humanity despite cosmic transformation. "See that you don't," she replied with characteristic directness. Power becomes tyranny when it forgets to serve those it protects. With official business concluded, her manner shifted subtly toward mentor rather than merely Hokage. "Jiraiya will accompany you initially, though he has separate intelligence objectives to pursue subsequently. Specialized communication protocols have been established for regular updates through secure channels." As she departed, leaving him with mission documentation and preparation instructions, Naruto felt unexpected emotions beneath his cosmic awareness: gratitude for belonging to a village whose leadership prioritized understanding over control, and determination to honor that approach through his own development. Whatever paths the cosmic guidance revealed, maintaining connection with these human anchors will remain essential to balanced progression. That night, as he prepared for accelerated departure, Konoha's familiar sounds filtered through his window: children returning home from evening activities, merchants closing shops, shinobi changing patrol shifts. The ordinary rhythm of village life continued despite extraordinary threats, demonstrating resilience that transcended individual incidents. Tomorrow would begin a new journey toward desert mysteries and cosmic understanding, but tonight belonged to this village that had shaped his fundamental identity despite years of earlier rejection. Whatever he was becoming, Konoha remained integral to who he had been and continued to be beneath the cosmic transformation. The balance energies within him resonated with this understanding: Akivan. Perfect harmony as human connection and cosmic awareness aligned rather than conflicted. In that balanced moment, Naruto perceived potential futures with unprecedented clarity, paths of development he had honored both his village connections and universal responsibilities without sacrificing either to the other. Chapter 2 and Chapter 3, Desert Revelation. The air shimmered with heat as Naruto and Jiraiya approached Tsunagaku's imposing entrance, a narrow canyon whose towering sandstone walls had been carved by both natural forces and deliberate defensive engineering. Unlike Konoha's lush greenery, the desert landscape offered stark minimalism, every feature deliberate, nothing wasted or superfluous. The village itself appeared as a mirage until proximity confirmed its solid reality: earthy buildings rising from sand-like extensions of the desert itself rather than impositions upon it. Quite the contrast from the land of fire, Jiraiya observed, adjusting his travel cloak against wind-driven sand particles. "Though there's beauty in this severity if you know how to look." Naruto nodded, his cosmic awareness perceiving layers invisible to conventional senses: ancient water flowing deep beneath their feet, microscopic life adapting to seemingly impossible conditions, energy patterns left by centuries of human habitation harmonizing with natural desert rhythms. It's perfectly balanced in its own way, apparent emptiness concealing extraordinary complexity. Their arrival had been preceded by diplomatic communications, evident in the formal greeting party awaiting them at the village entrance. 4 shinobi wearing standard Tsunagaku attire stood in precise formation, not a full honor guard, but sufficient representation to acknowledge their diplomatic status while maintaining security protocols. "Welcome to Tsunagaku," announced the lead Jonin, his weathered face reflecting years of desert service. "Lord Cascade awaits your arrival at the administrative center. Please follow our escort." The formal phrasing carried subtle significance, acknowledgement of official status without excessive ceremony, and personal attention from the Cascade rather than subordinate officials. Suna's diplomatic positioning seemed carefully calibrated, neither overly deferential nor unnecessarily restrained. As they proceeded through Tsunagaku's distinctive architecture, building S designed for maximum shade and temperature regulation, Naruto observed significant reconstruction still underway. The village had suffered extensive damage during the Akatsuki's extraction of Shukaku from Gaara, with subsequent recovery efforts prioritizing functional infrastructure over aesthetic considerations. "Remarkable progress," Jiraiya commented diplomatically to their escort. "The village's resilience remains impressive." "Necessary adaptation," the Jonin replied with characteristic Suna brevity. "Survival requires efficiency." This terse communication style reflected deeper cultu Raw patterns Naruto had never fully appreciated during previous visits. Where Konoha valued community and collaborative expression, Sunagaku's ethos centered on disciplined conservation of words, resources, and energy. Nothing wasted, nothing superfluous, every element serving multiple purposes. The administrative center dominated Suna's central district, a massive earthen structure whose architectural significance transcended mere governmental function to embody the village's identity. Unlike Konoha's Hokage Tower with its distinctive fire symbolism, this building appeared to emerge organically from the desert itself. Its form embodying stability amid environmental extremes. Inside, circulating air systems created comfortable temperature gradients despite external heat, another example of Suna's pragmatic ingenuity. Specialized light channels directed natural illumination through crystal conduits, eliminating need for artificial lighting during daylight hours while minimizing heat transfer. Their escort led them through administrative chambers to a specialized meeting room rather than the formal cage office, another subtle diplomatic indicator suggesting practical discussion rather than ceremonial exchange. Gaara awaited them, his distinctive appearance unchanged yet somehow more substantial than previous encounters. Leadership had transformed him from isolated weapon to integrated pillar of village identity. Though his fundamental seriousness remained unaltered, Naruto, Gaara greeted him with characteristic directness. Your transformation is evident even beyond physical appearance. The simple observation carried layers of meaning, acknowledging both visible changes and deeper transformations invisible to conventional perception. Naruto appreciated the straightforward recognition that avoided both uncomfortable curiosity and diplomatic obfuscation. Much has changed, he acknowledged equally directly. Though core elements remain constant. A smile touched Gaara's lips at the deliberate parallelism, both of them transformed while maintaining essential identity despite extraordinary circumstances. He gestured for them to be seated at a circular table of polished sandstone, where specialized ceiling arrays ensured conversational privacy. Konoha's diplomatic communiques outlined general parameters, Gaara stated once formalities concluded. However, I suspect written documentation necessarily omitted critical details regarding your condition. Jiraiya nodded, diplomatic experience evident in his measured response. Understandable. Security protocols given transmission vulnerabilities. Fortunately, direct communication allows more comprehensive exchange. The Sannin proceeded to provide detailed explanation of Naruto's transformation. The cosmic energies now resident within him, and the escalating sequence of encounters with both cultists and extra-dimensional entities. Throughout this explanation, Gaara listened with absolute focus, his expression betraying no reaction beyond occasional subtle shifts that suggested internal processing of particularly significant information. When the briefing concluded, Gaara remained silent for several moments, his gaze fixed on Naruto with analytical intensity. Shukaku responds to your presence differently now, he finally observed. Not with hostility or recognition, but something resembling ancestral memory. This revelation aligned with patterns established during Naruto's interaction with Yugito and the Two Tails. The tailed beasts appear to retain knowledge about cosmic forces from before their separation from the 10 Tails, Naruto explained. Kurama has been gradually recovering similar memories since my transformation. Gaara nodded once, accepting this information without requiring additional validation. This connection explains Sunagaku's recent archaeological anomalies. Archaeological anomalies? Jiraiya prompted with professional interest. Instead of verbal explanation, Gaara activated a specialized sand technique, creating a detailed three-dimensional topographical representation of the region surrounding Sunagaku. Multiple locations, illuminated with subtle chakra indicators, forming a pattern invisible without the comprehensive perspective this display provided. 3 months ago, our sensor division detected unusual energy fluctuations at these sites. Gaara explained, indicating the illuminated locations. Preliminary investigation revealed ancient structures predating village founding, possibly contemporary with the Sage of Six Paths era or earlier. Recent seismic activity exposed previously buried chambers containing distinctive symbolic language consistent with your description of cosmic markings. The implications registered immediately. These sites activated in response to my transformation, Naruto realized. Responding to cosmic energy reappearing within the mortal realm. That's our assessment, Gaara confirmed. though investigation has proceeded cautiously given unknown parameters. Particularly concerning are defensive mechanisms that activate when conventional chakra contacts certain inscriptions. Jiraiya studied the geographical pattern with scholarly interest. The distribution suggests deliberate positioning relative to natural energy channels, similar to how major villages were establish. Head along ley lines for optimal chakra circulation. Gaara's subtle nod acknowledged this insight. Our archaeology division theorizes these sites formed an interconnected network designed to monitor or possibly contain something of significant importance. His pale eyes focused on Naruto with sudden intensity. Something potentially connected to your current condition. The cosmic awareness wit. Naruto responded to this information independently of conscious thought, illuminating connections invisible to conventional understanding. Golden light momentarily suffused his right hand as creation energy surged in recognition, while shadows gathered around his left in complementary response. The ruins contain information about previous vessels, he stated with certainty derived from Cosmi. See knowledge rather than logical deduction. Training methods, historical records, possibly warnings about development paths and their consequences. Gaara observed the energy manifestation with analytical interest rather than alarm. Then Sunagaku's request for specialized consultation regarding these phenomena becomes even more appropriate than initially assessed. He made a subtle gesture, the sand display dissolved back into its storage container. Formal diplomatic protocols suggest I assign senior advisory staff to facilitate your investigation. Before either visitor could respond to this statement, the meeting room door opened to admit a kunoichi whose presence immediately commanded attention through disciplined confidence rather than overt assertion. Tamari entered with characteristic efficiency. Her movements economical yet graceful, traditional battle fan secured across her back despite the ostensibly diplomatic context. You requested my presence, Lord Casecage. Shish. Addressed her brother with formal propriety despite their familial connection, maintaining appropriate protocol within administrative settings. Tamari will serve as your primary liaison during this assignment, Gaara announced. Her analytical capabilities and familiarity with regional topography make her optimally suited for archaeological investigation. Additionally, her rank authorizes appropriate security clearance for all relevant information. The assignment clearly wasn't unexpected, given Tamari's lack of surprise at the announcement. She assessed their visitors with professional thoroughness, acknowledging Jiraiya with appropriate respect for his reputation before focusing more intensely on Naruto, cataloging visible changes since their previous encounter. Quite the transformation, she observed with characteristic directness. Though the fundamental energy signature remains recognizable beneath these new elements. The comment reflected sensory capabilities exceeding standard Jonin parameters, an observation Jiraiya immediately noted with thoughtful interest. Your perceptual acuity has developed significantly since our previous interactions. Tamari's expression revealed nothing beyond professional acknowledgement. Desert survival necessitates heightened awareness. Environmental sensitivity translates effectively to chakra perception with appropriate training. This understated explanation concealed more than it revealed, a pattern consistent with Suna's cultural preference for demonstrating capability through action rather than detailed exposition. Naruto sensed deeper significance behind her measured response, though cosmic awareness provided no specific insight regarding her motivations. Investigation should commence immediately, Gaara continued, returning focus to operational parameters. The primary archaeological site has been secured according to standard protocols, with specialized research teams temporarily reassigned pending your assessment. The meeting concluded with efficient determination of logistical arrangements, including secure accommodations, communication protocols, and integrated security measures. Throughout these discussions, Tamari maintained professional detachment despite occasional analytical glances toward Naruto that suggested significant curiosity beneath formal exterior. As they departed the administrative center, Jiraiya leaned closer to Naruto with characteristic perceptiveness beneath his carefree persona. Interesting choice of liaison, he murmured. The Casecage's sister represents significant political investment in your investigation. Practical assignment given her capabilities, Naruto replied, though he similarly recognized the diplomatic significance. Though I suspect her sensory abilities represent the primary qualification rather than political considerations. Jiraiya's knowing expression suggested multiple layers of interpretation regarding the arrangement, though he refrained from voicing additional observations as Temari approached to coordinate their movement toward temporary accommodations. "We've arranged specialized quarters in the Eastern District," she informed them efficiently. "Enhanced privacy barriers, proximity to administrative resources, and appropriate spatial parameters for your unique energy considerations." This last statement directed toward Naruto with subtle emphasis suggesting broader understanding than diplomatically acknowledged. Tomorrow's investigation begins at dawn. Desert conditions favor early activity before temperature extremes develop. With that practical advisory, she departed to finalize preparations, leaving them to settle into assigned quarters that indeed featured specialized containment barriers similar to those Konoha had developed, suggesting significant information sharing between villages regarding Naruto's condition despite official diplomatic constraints. Our Suna colleagues appear remarkably well informed, Jiraiya observed once privacy barriers activated, particularly their perceptive liaison. Naruto nodded thoughtfully. Temari's sensory capabilities exceed previous parameters substantially. She perceives the cosmic energies directly rather than merely observing their effects. An interesting development worth monitoring, Jiraiya mused. Particularly given your cosmic awareness indicating desert connections to previous vessels. His expression shifted to more practical concerns. My intelligence network requires attention regarding those cultist movements we discussed. I'll need to pursue those connections separately while you investigate these ruins. The division of efforts makes strategic sense, Naruto acknowledged. Though maintaining communication protocols remains essential given escalating threat patterns. Their discussion continued into evening, reviewing investigative priorities and security considerations for the following day's activities. Throughout these preparations, Naruto sensed the desert environment responding to his presence. Subtle resonance patterns in the surrounding sand, microscopic crystal structures realigning to cosmic frequencies, and CNT energy channels awakening after centuries of dormancy. Something within this harsh landscape recognized what he carried, not with Konoha's apprehension nor academic curiosity, but with anticipatory recognition. As though the desert itself had been waiting for cosmic balance to return. Dawn transformed the desert from intimidating wasteland to breathtaking canvas, golden light refracting rough suspended crystalline particles to create atmospheric effects impossible in more humid environments. Naruto stood atop Sunogakure's eastern boundary wall, cosmic awareness fully extended to EIVE the desert's awakening energy patterns as daylight triggered complex biological and geological responses invisible to conventional observation. Magnificent, isn't it? Temari's voice interrupted his contemplation as she approached with silent efficiency. Most outsiders perceive only emptiness and hostility. They miss the desert's perfect harmony. Unlike the previous day's formal diplomatic attire, she now wore specialized field equipment designed for desert operations, lightweight yet protective fabrics in sand-toned layers, reinforced with subtle armor elements at critical vulnerability points. Her battle fan remained secured across her back, though now accompanied by additional equipment pouches suggesting extended field operations rather than merely ceremonial escort. I was just thinking something similar. Naruto acknowledged. There's remarkable balance within apparent extremes. She studied him with analytical precision that somehow avoided feeling invasive despite its intensity. Your perception has evolved significantly. Previous encounters suggested limited appreciation for subtle environmental patterns. The observation carried no criticism, merely accurate assessment of developmental progression. Naruto appreciated the straightforward evaluation that recognized growth without unnecessary reference to past limitations. Cosmic awareness alters perception across multiple dimensions, he explained, though core appreciation remains rooted in human experience rather than merely abstract comprehension. Temari nodded once, accepting this explanation without requiring elaboration, another characteristic of Suna's communication efficiency. Our expedition team awaits at the Eastern Gate. 3 specialists with archaeological expertise, 2 security personnel with desert survival certification, and appropriate equipment for extended field operations. They departed shortly thereafter, moving through Suna's awakening streets toward the designated rendezvous point. Unlike Konoha's morning bustle with its social exchanges and community interactions, Sunagakur awakened with disciplined purpose, each citizen fulfilling specific functions within the village's carefully balanced resource management system. Water distribution, morning temperature regulation, and essential service coordination proceeded with precision that reflected generations of adaptation to environmental constraints. The expedition team awaiting them exemplified this efficiency, each member prepared with appropriate equipment, positioned according to functional responsibility rather than hierarchical arrangement. Introductions proceeded with characteristic brevity, emphasizing relevant expertise rather than personal background. Primary investigation site lies approximately 12 kilometers northeast. Tamari explained once preliminaries concluded. Recent sandstorms have altered surface topography, but subsurface structures remain stable according to sensor team assessments. Their journey across the desert landscape provided Naruto opportunity to appreciate Suna shinobi operational patterns. Where Konoha teams typically maintained constant communication through both verbal exchanges and signal systems, these desert specialists operated with minimal vocalization, communicating through subtle gesture languages, environmental adjustments, and precise positio. Ning changes that conveyed complex information without disrupting situational awareness. Tamari led with confident familiarity, her movements demonstrating lifetime adaptation to desert navigation. Like her teammates who occasionally referenced specialized instruments for directional confirmation, she appeared to navigate through innate understanding of environmental patterns, subtle wind variations, sand texture changes, and solar positioning that collectively created natural coordinate systems invisible to outsiders. Your navigational method doesn't rely on conventional techniques, Naru. To observed during a brief hydration interval. You're reading the wind directly. She glanced at him with momentary surprise quickly concealed behind professional composure. An unusual observation from someone without wind affinity. She noted, though her tone suggested approval of his perceptiveness. Yes, air currents maintain consistent patterns across the desert despite superficial disruptions. Those with appropriate sensitivity can track these patterns more reliably than surface landmarks that frequently change. Your affinity transcends typical elemental connection, Naruto suggested. Cosmic awareness perceiving deeper synchronicity between Tamari and her element than conventional chakra theory explained. It's more fundamental to your nature. This observation visibly impacted her composed exterior, subtle widening of eyes betraying genuine surprise before disciplined control reasserted itself. An unexpectedly accurate assessment, she acknowledged with newfound respect coloring her tone. Most attribute my techniques merely to specialized training rather than innate resonance. Before further conversation could develop, one of the sensor specialists signaled discovery of their destination. Unlike most archaeological sites with visible surface indications, this location remained almost perfectly concealed beneath undisturbed sand, only specialized chakra perception, revealing the extensive complex hidden below seemingly featureless terrain. Recent seismic activity shifted subterranean structural alignments, explained the lead archaeologist, a middle-aged woman with sun-weathered features and calculating eyes. Ground-penetrating sensory techniques indicate multiple chambers extending approximately 30 meters below surface level, with unusual energy sign. Aters concentrating in the central chamber. Tamari assessed the site with professional thoroughness before issuing concise directives. Standard excavation protocols with enhanced chakra restriction parameters. Sensor team maintains perimeter awareness while excavation proceeds. No independent investigation of discovered artifacts without direct authorization. The team responded with immediate efficiency, deploying specialized equipment designed for archaeological operations in unstable terrain. Unlike conventional excavation methods relying on physical displacement, they utilized refined wind techniques to separate sand particles with remarkable precision, gradually revealing the ancient structure without disrupting its structural integrity. As sand particles dispersed under controlled wind manipulation, distinctive architecture emerged, not built from transported materials but rather carved directly into compressed sandstone that had once formed the region's bedrock before geological shifts buried it beneath surface dunes. The entrance featured perfectly geometric patterns impossibly precise for ancient construction methods, with specialized ceiling arrays embedded within stone itself rather than applied to the surface. Remarkable preservation, murmured the lead archaeologist, professional detachment momentarily overwhelmed by genuine wonder. These sealing techniques Ks predate modern methodologies by at least a millennium, yet maintain perfect functionality despite age. Tamari studied the entrance with analytical focus. Defensive parameters appear active but dormant. Sensor analysis suggests authentication requirements rather than universal restriction. Her gaze shifted to Naruto with meaningful intensity. These may respond specifically to your energies rather than conventional chakra. The cosmic awareness within Naruto confirmed her assessment independently of conscious analysis. The entrance seals resonated with familiar frequencies, recognition. Patterns designed to admit cosmic energies while rejecting conventional chakra to prevent unauthorized access. Their balanced recognition seals, he confirmed, approaching the entrance with nature. Confidence derived from cosmic understanding rather than deliberate courage. Designed to admit those carrying specific energy signatures while redirecting others through spatial displacement rather than physical harm. The archaeological team maintained professional distance as Naruto extended his hand toward the entrance seals, cosmic symbols manifesting across his skin in response to the ancient authentication system. Golden light and shadow energy intermingled as they flowed from his palm to the carved patterns, illuminating previously invisible script that spiraled across the entire entrance facade. Recognition patterns completed their authentication sequence, causing the seemingly solid entrance to shimmer momentarily before revealing its true nature, not physical barrier but dim. Ancient gateway disguised as conventional architecture. The illusionary surface dissolved to reveal a perfectly preserved corridor extending downward at precise angle, illuminated by crystalline form. Asians embedded within walls that activated in sequential patterns as they detected cosmic energy presence. Remarkable, breathed the lead archaeologist, specialized instruments recording the phenomenon with scientific precision. Persistent dimensional manipulation sustained over centuries without active maintenance. The energy requirements alone should have depleted any known power source within decades. Cosmic energies operate differently than conventional chakra, Naruto explained, the knowledge flowing through his awareness from sources beyond personal experience. They establish self-sustaining systems that draw maintenance power from natural dimensional boundaries rather than requiring continuous application. Tamari assessed the revealed entrance with professional caution despite evident scientific curiosity. Security protocols suggest preliminary exploration team consisting of primary investigator with appropriate energy signature, plus minimal essential personnel to document findings. Her gaze met Naruto's directly. As assigned liaison, I'll accompany you while the archaeological team establishes surface monitoring systems. The arrangement made practical sense. Given unknown variables within the ancient structure, though Naruto suspected additional motivations beneath Temari's efficient exterior, genuine curiosity regarding cosmic phenomena beyond merely professional responsibility. The archaeological team established perimeter monitoring while preparing documentation systems for artifacts that might emerge from the investigation. As Naruto and Tamari prepared to enter the structure, the cosmic awareness within him detected subtle resonance between the ancient seals and Temari's inherent wind affinity, not merely coincidental alignment but fundamental compatibility suggesting deliberate design parameters. This observation suggested possibilities that transcended conventional understanding of elemental affinities and their relationship to cosmic forces. Your wind nature resonates with these seals beyond typical elemental interaction, he noted as they approached the entrance. There's harmonic compatibility that suggests deliberate design consideration. Temari's expression revealed momentary surprise before analytical curiosity asserted dominance. Explain. Creation aspects of cosmic energy naturally harmonize with wind affinity, Naruto elaborated. Understanding flowing through his awareness. Air represents potential in constant motion, creation in its most dynamic expression. Previous vessels likely established compatibility parameters for trusted companions with complementary elemental resonance. This explanation visibly impacted Temari's professional detachment, genuine intellectual interest temporarily overriding diplomatic constraints. That suggests fundamental connections between elemental affinities and cosmic forces predating conventional chakra theory. Her voice reflected scholarly excitement carefully modulated beneath professional composure. Potentially revolutionary understanding of chakra's fundamental nature. Their discussion paused as they crossed the threshold into the ancient structure, diamonds. Ional transition creating momentary disorientation as spatial parameters shifted subtly around them. The corridor beyond extended farther than external dimensions should have permitted, another indicate. Ion of dimensional manipulation beyond conventional architectural constraints. Crystal illumination activated sequentially as they proceeded, revealing elaborate inscriptions covering every surface flowing script that matched the symbols manifesting across Naruto's skin during energy activation. Unlike decorative patterns, these inscriptions formed complex informational systems, historical records, theoretical frameworks, and practical instruction encoded in symbolic language designed for cosmic comprehension rather than merely human literacy. Can you interpret these inscriptions? Temari asked, studying the patterns with evident fascination despite maintaining professional alertness to potential security concerns. Not conventionally, Naruto admitted. They're not meant to be read sequentially but absorbed conceptually. The cosmic awareness recognizes patterns and extracts meaning through resonance rather than linguistic translation. Despite this explanation, he traced I see symbols with respectful appreciation for their craftsmanship. These particular sequences describe previous vessels, their origins, developmental paths, and eventual destinations. Some achieved ECT balance and transcended physical limitations. Others lost equilibrium and required containment by contemporary forces. The corridor descended in graceful spiral, each revolution revealing different historical epics through changing inscription styles and content focuses. Periodically, specialized chambers branched from the main passage, some containing preserved artifacts, others featuring reigning apparatus designed for specific cosmic applications, a few apparently serving ceremonial functions related to balance maintenance. Temari documented everything with remarkable efficiency, specialized equipment capturing both conventional imagery and energy pattern recordings. Her analytical mind cataloged connections and implications with scientific precision while maintaining security awareness appropriate to uncertain environment. The architectural progression suggests developmental chronology, she observed as they continued descending. Each level corresponds to different historical period, with older sections displaying more fundamental understanding of cosmic principles while later editions introduce greater specialization. Naruto nodded, impressed by her perceptive analysis despite lacking cosmic awareness. You're exactly right. The original structure served primarily as instructional repository for new vessels. Later editions expanded to include historical documentation and specialized application techniques as understanding evolved. Their descent eventually terminated at massive circular chamber whose dimensions defied the apparent spatial constraints of the external structure. The room extended at least 50 meters in diameter with soaring ceiling displaying astronomical configurations rendered in luminous crystal formations. The chamber's walls featured elaborate murals depicting previous vessels throughout history, diverse individuals from various cultures and eras, each portrayed at significant developmental milestone. At the chamber's center, stood raised platform with distinctive indentation matching the pattern Naruto's cosmic symbols formed when fully manifested. The platform connected to radial channels extending outward like sunburst pattern, each terminating at wall section depicting specific vessel's journey. It's a comprehensive historical record, Naruto realized, cosmic awareness resonating with the chamber's purpose. Not merely documentation but interactive repository. The central platform allows direct connection to previous vessels' experiences through cosmic resonance. Temari studied the platform with analytical focus. Similar to memory transfer techniques but operating through fundamental energy resonance rather than conventional chakra imprinting. Her gaze traveled across the radial channels with scientific curiosity. Each connection corresponds to specific historical figure depicted in these murals, presumably accessing their particular development path and consequent outcomes. The accuracy of her assessment impressed Naruto despite his enhanced perception. Temari's analytical capabilities functioned at exceptional level independent of special abilities or bloodline advantages, pure intellectu. Acuity combined with disciplined observational methodology. I should attempt connection, he suggested, moving toward the central platform with natural certainty. The cosmic awareness indicates this system remains functional despite age. Temari nodded agreement, though professional caution remained evident in her positioning, maintaining optimal observation angle while establishing sufficient distance for intervention if necessary. Proceed, but maintain awareness of physical surroundings. Historical records mention consciousness displacement risks with similar ancient technologies. Her concern reflected both professional responsibility and genuine caution rather than mere procedural adherence, another indication of developing rapport beneath formal exterior. Naruto acknowledged her advisory with respectful nod before positioning himself on the central platform, cosmic symbols automatically manifesting across his skin in response to the chamber's activating energy systems. As his cosmic patterns aligned with the platform's indentation, golden light and shadow energy flowed from his body into the radial channels, illuminating each connection sequentially. The chamber's cries, tall formations responded with intensifying brilliance, creating immersive projection environment that transcended conventional visual experience to include conceptual and emotional dimensions beyond ordinary sensory perception. The cosmic awareness expanded dramatically, temporarily disconnecting from physical limitations to access the repository's accumulated knowledge directly. Historical experiences from dozens of previous vessels flooded through Naruto's consciousness, not as sequential memories but as conceptual understanding transcending conventional temporal constraints. He witnessed countless development paths with perfect clarity, vessels who achieved transcendent balance and evolved beyond physical existence, others who sacrificed equilibrium for specialized application in either creation or destruction aspects. Some who established sanctuary communities isolated from conventional civilization, a few who lost control completely, becoming cosmic threats requiring intervention by contemporary forces. Throughout these diverse experiences, consistent patterns emerged regarding successful integration and development. Balance required both theoretical understanding and practical application across varied circumstances. Isolation inevitably led to perspective distortion, while complete integration with conventional society created unsustainable pressure on developing vessels. The most successful found intermediate approaches, maintaining human connections while establishing appropriate boundaries for cosmic development. Most significantly, previously successful vessels had invariably developed specialized support networks, individuals with compatible energy resonance who formed stabilizing influences during critical developmental phases. These cosmic anchors, typica LLY, demonstrated elemental affinities harmonizing with specific aspects of cosmic energy, creating natural compatibility that transcended conventional relationships. As this particular understanding crystallized, Naruto's awareness returned to physical perception with sudden clarity. The chamber's projections faded gradually as cosmic energy receded from the radial channels, though the crystal formations maintained ambient illumination at reduced intensity. You received substantial information transfer, Tamari observed, her analytical gaze assessing his condition with professional thoroughness. Approximately 17 minutes of complete immersion based on external perception. Any adverse effects? The precision of her time measurement despite the immersive experience's subjective distortion impressed Naruto. No adverse effects, though information density exceeds immediate processing capacity. He stepped from the platform with renewed understanding of his developmental requirements. The repository contains crucial guidance regarding balance maintenance and integration methodologies. Before he could elaborate further, both detected subtle environmental shift as the chamber's dimensional barriers fluctuated unexpectedly. Tamari immediately assumed defensive positioning, battle fan partially deployed in preparation for unknown threat manifestation. External interference detected, she stated with professional conciseness. Multiple energy signatures approaching surface installation with non-standard movement patterns. Our security team has initiated containment protocols. Naruto extended cosmic awareness beyond the structure's boundaries, immediately detecting familiar energy signatures approaching the archaeological team's position. Cultists, he identified grimly. Entropy's children following the cosmic activation. Approximately 12 operatives with specialized disruption equipment. Without requiring detailed planning discussion, they moved with synchronized efficiency toward the spiral corridor, prioritizing surface intervention based on shared threat assessment. Their coordinated movement reflected natural compatibility rather than merely professional training. Temari's positioning automatically complementing Naruto's movement patterns without explicit coordination. As they ascended rapidly, communications equipment activated with emergency signal from the security team. Unknown hostiles approaching from northeastern quadrant, reported the lead security specialist, her voice maintaining professional calm despite evident tension. Quote, non-standard energy signatures with possible Kekkei-Genkai manifestations. Archaeological team implementing emergency protection protocols. Maintain defensive perimeter. Tamari responded with command authority. Specialized intervention approaching your position. Priority protection for scientific personnel and documentation materials. They emerged from the structure to discover chaotic battlefield conditions. The archaeological team had established emergency barrier techniques around essential equipment while security specialists engaged advancing cultists with coordinated defense strategies. Despite professional implementation, conventional techniques proved only partially effective against opponents channeling corrupt cosmic energy through specialized focus equipment. The cultists maintained familiar heptagonal formation, though their implementation demonstrated greater sophistication than previous encounters. Each position served specific tactical function within integrated strategy. Disruption specialists targeting dimensional boundaries, conversion operators attempting to corrupt natural energy sources, and specialized combatants engaging security personnel with unusual techniques that distorted physical laws within localized fields. Standard formation with evolved methodology. Naruto assessed quickly, cosmic awareness identifying tactical vulnerabilities invisible to conventional perception. Their central operator channels corrupted balance energy through specialized amplifier. Removing that component should disrupt their synchronized capabilities. Tamari absorbed this analysis with remarkable adaptability, immediately integrating new information into tactical approach. Diversionary engagement to create access corridor while you neutralize central component. She suggested. Battle fan now fully deployed in preparation for coordinated attack. Perfect, Naruto confirmed, impressed by her immediate grasp of optimal approach despite no previous exposure to these specific opponents. Their defensive capabilities focus primarily on conventional chakra techniques. Wind manipulation operating through natural principles rather than direct chakra application should bypass their countermeasures. Without further discussion needed, they implemented complementary attack sequence with synchronized precision that suggested practiced partnership rather than first battlefield collaboration. Tamari launched primary diversionary technique, not conventional wind blade but sophisticated atmospheric manipulation creating localized pressure differential at disrupted cultist formation through fundamental physical principles rather than direct energy application. Wind style. Pressure vacuum corridor, she announced, her technique demonstrating master. Full refinement beyond standard application. The atmospheric manipulation created not destruction but temporary pathway through enemy formation, precisely aligned channel permitting direct approach to sea. Entral operator while disrupting peripheral defensive capabilities. Simultaneously, Naruto accessed cosmic balance with practiced efficiency, prismatic energy manifesting around his form in controlled emission rather than dramatic display. Unlike previous encounters where direct opposition required substantial energy expenditure, he now implemented subtle application, harmonizing prismatic balance against corrupted frequencies rather than overwhelming them with superior force. This refined approach demonstrated significant developmental progress since previous combat applications. Moving throw. The corridor Tamari's technique created, Naruto approached the central cultist with focused purpose. Rather than dramatic confrontation, he simply extended prismatic energy in precise configuratio. That neutralized the amplification device through frequency cancellation rather than physical destruction. The effect cascaded through the cultist formation immediately, their synchronized technique deteriorating into uncoordinated individual applications as central coordination collapsed. Without integrated functionality, their specialized equipment failed to maintain corruption fields necessary for tactical advantage. Soon as security personnel immediately recognized the strategic opportunity, adapting their defensive approach to exploit newly vulnerable opponents. Tamari coordinated this transition with remarkable battlefield awareness, her wind techniques providing both tactical advantage and communication guidance simultaneously. Most cultists recognized their disadvantage immediately, initiating predetermined withdrawal protocols with disciplined efficiency despite tactical failure. Unlike common adversaries motivated by emotional responses, these opponents operated through calculated risk assessment rather than pride or anger, abandoning engagement when success parameters deteriorated beyond acceptable thresholds. 4 cultists provided withdrawal coverage, deploying shellaized smoke compounds that disrupted both visual tracking and energy perception simultaneously. By the time these effects dissipated, the main force had disappeared beyond effective pursuit range. Though they left behind significant equipment and one severely injured operative unable to maintain withdrawal pace. Secure the prisoner for medical stabilization and subsequent interrogation, Tamari ordered. Professional priorities immediately establishing post-engagement protocols. Documentation team assess equipment remnants with appropriate containment precautions. Perimeter security maintain heightened alert status with expanded sensor range. The archaeological team implemented these directives with practiced efficiency while performing damage assessment of the site and equipment. Despite the attack's intensity, primary objectives remained secure, documentation materials preserved, critical personnel unharmed, and the ancient structure's integrity maintained. As immediate security concerns stabilized, Tamari approached Naruto with analytical focus rather than congratulatory exchange, her practical nature prioritizing tactical assessment over celebratory acknowledgement. Your combat application demonstrated remarkable refinement since reported previous engagements, she observed, studying him with scientific interest beneath professional exterior. Precision application raw, thayer than overwhelming force suggests accelerated developmental progression. The observation revealed both detailed knowledge of his previous encounters and sophisticated understanding of combat evolution theory, another indication of Temari's exceptional analytical capabilities despite lacking specialized advantages. Naruto appreciated her technical assessment that recognized meaningful progress, rather than merely superficial combat outcome. The repository information provided crucial application insights, he explained, cosmic symbols gradually receding beneath his skin as balance energies stabilized. Previous vessels discovered that harmonic counter-frequency requires significantly less energy expenditure than direct opposition, while producing more sustainable neutralization. Ari nodded with evident intellectual appreciation despite maintaining battlefield awareness appropriate to uncertain conditions. Elegant solution demonstrating fundamental efficiency principles. Suna's combat philosophy emphasizes similar methodology, precision application conserving limited resources rather than overwhelming force requiring substantial recovery. This philosophical alignment yield deeper compatibility beyond merely complementary combat techniques, shared foundational principles regarding appropriate power application despite dramatically different methodological contexts. Before they could explore this connection further, the security team requested immediate consultation regarding recovered equipment assessment. The cultists had abandoned several specialized devices during their withdrawal, including partial amplification system of the type Naruto had neutralized during the engagement. Unlike previous encounters where equipment appeared crude despite effective application, these devices demonstrated sophisticated engineering integrating conventional technology with corrupted cosmic principles, concerning evolution suggesting organizational development beyond isolated fanaticism. Their technological integration demonstrates concerning advancement curve, Tamari assessed, examining the recovered components with careful precision to avoid accidental activation. Previous intelligence assessments classified these cultists as primarily ideological movement with limited technical capabilities. This evidence suggests either external support structure or significantly underestimated internal development resources. Naruto studied the devices with cosmic perception, identifying disturbing adaptation patterns invisible to conventional analysis. Their developing integration methodologies between conventional chakra systems and corrupted cosmic principles. These amplifiers allow standard chakra users to channel entropy aspects without requiring direct cosmic connection. The implications registered immediately in Temari's analytical assessment, potentially allowing exponential recruitment expansion beyond those with natural cosmic affinity. Our expression reflected appropriate concern beneath professional composure. Force multiplication with significantly reduced training requirements would transform isolated threat into potential large-scale movement. Precisely, Naruto confirmed grimly, though these particular examples remain prototype quality rather than production implementation. We've likely encountered advanced operators Ting field application parameters rather than standard deployment units. This assessment aligned with Temari's professional evaluation, creating natural consensus regarding appropriate response priorities. After ensuring the archaeological site's security with enhanced protection parameters, They coordinated prisoner transport and equipment containment for return to Sunagaku's specialized research facilities. As sunset approached, casting the desert in remarkable golden-crimson hues that transformed harsh landscape into breathtaking panorama, Temari joined Naruto at observation position overlooking the excavation site. The day's events had shifted their professional dynamic subtly but significantly, theoretical assessment evolving into practical collaboration that established deeper connection through shared experience rather than merely administrative assignment. The repository contained substantial information beyond immediate tactical applications, Naruto observed, sensing appropriate opportunity for more comprehensive exchange now that immediate security concerns had stabilized. Historical patterns regarding vessel development suggest critical dependency on specialized support networks during developmental phases. Temari's analytical mind immediately grasped implications beyond surface information. The compatibility we demonstrated during engagement wasn't coincidental, she concluded with characteristic directness. My elemental affinity naturally harmonizes with creation aspects of your cosmic energy, creating operational synchronicity beyond standard teamwork parameters. Her immediate understanding without requiring elaborate explanation impressed Naruto once again, intellectual acuity functioning at exceptional level independent of specialized abilities. Exactly. Previous vessels typically developed connections with individuals whose natural energy signatures complemented cosmic balance requirements. These anchors provided stability during development while expanding application possibilities through complementary techniques. The terminology triggered visible recognition in Temari's expression. Similar conceptual framework appears in ancient Suna texts regarding Shukaku's early vessels, she noted with scholarly precision. Historical records mention elemental resonators, providing stabilization during Jinchuriki integration periods. The methodology was abandoned during later militarization phases as control-based approaches replaced harmony models. This historical parallel provided valuable context for understanding cosmic balance integration within existing chakra frameworks. Their discussion continued as they supervised site security establishment for overnight monitoring, exchanging insights regarding theoretical connections between cosmic principles and conventional chakra systems that transcended immediate tactical considerations. Throughout this intellectual exchange, subtle shift continued developing in their interpersonal dynamic, professional respect evolving toward genuine connection based on shared intellectual curiosity and complementary analytical approaches. Temari's characteristic directness gradua LLY incorporated occasional personal observations beyond strictly professional assessment, while Naruto found her precise analytical methodology naturally harmonizing with cosmic awareness to create expanded understanding transcending either perspective independently. As they returned to Sunagaku with recovered materials and secured prisoner, desert stars emerged with breathtaking clarity impossible in more humid environments. The astronomical display prompted Temari to share rare personal insight regarding desert appreciation beyond merely professional familiarity. Most outsiders perceive only hardship in desert environments, she observed, momentarily setting aside analytical detachment for genuine personal perspective. They miss the perfect clarity that emerges from necessary refinement. When resources cannot be wasted, true elegance emerges through precision rather than abundance. The observation carried philosophical depth beyond environmental assessment, revealing core values that shaped her approach to both professional responsibilities and personal development. Naruto recognized significant self-revelation within the seemingly casual comment, appreciating the deliberate sharing of perspective normally maintained behind professional exterior. The cosmic balance reflects similar principles, he responded, offering comparable personal insight rather than merely technical exchange. Perfect equilibrium doesn't require dramatic displays or excessive force, just precise application at exactly the right moment. Finding that perfect point requires discarding everything unnecessary until only essential truth remains. Their gazes met briefly with shared understanding transcending verbal exchange, mutual recognition of complementary perspectives despite dramatically different developmental paths. The moment passed without awkward acknowledgement, both naturally returning to professional considerations as they approached Sunagaku's imposing entrance, though BTLE shift in their dynamic remained established beneath operational focus. The interrogation chamber deep within Sunagaku's intelligence division reflected the village's characteristic design. Philosophy. Functionally elegant rather than intimidatingly severe, with environmental controls creating comfortable atmospheric conditions despite subterranean location. Unlike Konoha's approach emphasizing psychological pressure through environmental manipulation, Suna's methodology focused on sustained information extraction through controlled conversation rather than physical or psychological extremes. The captured cultist, a pale woman approximately 30 years old with specialized implants visible beneath partially translucent skin, sat across from Gaara with remarkable composure despite her situation. Medical intervention had stabilized her injuries while specialized containment seals neutralized potential technique application, yet her demeanor suggested philosophical acceptance rather than defeated resignation. Your companions abandoned you despite organizational doctrine emphasizing collective preservation, Gaara observed, his tone reflecting analytical interest rather than interrogative pressure. This suggests operational priorities superseding individual welfare considerations. The cultist's expression remained impassive, though subtle eye movement indicated recognition of interrogation technique identifying potential ideological inconsistency. Entropy ultimately claims all components, she responded with almost ceremonial intonation. Individual dissolution serves collective purpose when preservation threatens greater dissemination. Naruto observed from adjacent room through specialized one-way barrier, cosmic awareness perceiving energy patterns beneath verbal exchange. Unlike conventional detainees motivated by personal loyalty or ideological fervor, this subject demonstrated unusual neurological patterns suggesting fundamental consciousness alteration beyond mere indoctrination. The integration technology has modified her perception at neurological level, he explained to Tamari and the intelligence specialists monitoring the interrogation. She physically experiences reality differently than conventional consciousness. Entropy appears as fundamental truth rather than ideological concept. This assessment aligned with medical scans show unusual brain activity patterns concentrated around specialized implants. The technology integration appeared more advanced than equipment recovered from the field engagement, suggesting this operative represented higher organizational tier than typical field personnel. Inside the interrogation chamber, Gaara continued methodical information extraction through carefully structured conversation. Rather than confrontational techniques attempting to break resistance, he engaged philosophical framework directly, creating dialogue that revealed organizational structure through conceptual exploration rather than direct questioning. Your entropy philosophy differentiates between natural dissolution and accelerated implementation, he noted, referencing previous statements with perfect recall. Yet your methodology seems to prioritize intervention rather than observation. This appears contradictory to fundamental entropy principles regarding inevitable natural progression. The cultist leaned forward slightly, subtle body language indicating intellectual engagement despite resistance to specific information disclosure. Natural entropy proceeds too slowly for meaningful human observation. Accelerated implementation allows current consciousness to witness inevitable conclusion rather than merely theorizing ultimate state. Her expression reflected genuine conviction beneath calculated resistance. The balance abomination threatens this process by artificially sustaining doomed structures through cosmic violation. This terminology, specifically, balance abomination, referencing Naruto's cosmic vessel status, provided crucial insight regarding organizational perception. Unlike previous encounters suggesting merely opposition to balance forces, this framing indicated fundamental philosophical rejection of cosmic equilibrium itself rather than simply its current manifestation. She doesn't perceive her organization as destruction cultists, Naruto realized, cosmic awareness interpreting subtextual implications. From their perspective, they're cosmic conservationists preserving natural entropy flow against artificial intervention. Tamari absorbed this insight with characteristic analytical precision. Philosophical inversion creating moral framework justifying destructive actions through preservation narrative. Her assessment demonstrated sophisticated understanding of ideological manipulation mechanics. Extremely effective radicalization methodology providing ethical rationalization for essentially nihilistic objectives. The interrogation continued for several hours, gradually extracting valuable intelligence through philosophical engagement rather than conventional pressure techniques. Though the cultist revealed no specific operational details regarding future plans, Her conceptual explanations provided crucial understanding of organizational structure and motivational framework necessary for effective counter-strategy development. When Medic-Al specialists indicated approaching psychological fatigue thresholds, Gaara concluded the session with characteristic efficiency. As security personnel returned the prisoner to specialized holding facilities, he joined the observation team for comprehensive assessment discussion. Their organizational evolution demonstrates concerning acceleration curve, he noted, reviewing documentation materials with focused attention. Previous encounters suggested isolated ideological movement with limited structural cohesion. Current evidence indicates sophisticated hierarchical organization with specialized operational divisions and advanced technological integration. Naruto nodded agreement, cosmic awareness having detected similar evolutionary indicators. The repository information suggests historical pattern repetition. Previous balance vessels typically encountered organized opposition during early developmental phases, when cosmic energy manifestation remained detectable but vessel control capabilities were still developing. Quote, precisely targeted intervention window, Tamari observed with tactical precision. Maximizing opportunity while minimizing opposition capability. Strategica, LLY sound despite philosophical irrationality. This assessment reflected shared understanding developed through their field collaboration, complementary analytical approaches creating comprehensive tactical evaluation through different perceptual frameworks. Gaara noted this dynamic with subtle interest beneath his characteristic reserve, recognizing emerging partnership beyond merely administrative assignment. The recovered technology requires comprehensive analysis before developing effective countermeasures, he stated, returning focus to immediate strategic considerations. However, preliminary assessment suggests connection to historical artifacts documented in Suna's restricted archives. Specifically, ancient temple complex located deep within Demon Desert's western quadrant. His information immediately resonated with Naruto's cosmic awareness, creating recognition response independent of conscious analysis. The Convergence Temple, he identified, knowledge flowing from repository information through cosmic connection. Historical vessels established specialized training facility utilizing natural energy convergence point for accelerated development under controlled conditions. Gaara's subtle expression shift indicated confirmation of this identification despite different terminological framework. Suna's historical records reference similar location with different designation. Ancient texts describe Ascension Crucible, where Jinchuriki vessels established harmonization protocols during First Shinobi Era, before standardized military applications replaced spiritual integration methodologies. The historical alignment suggests fundamental connection between tailed beast energy and cosmic forces. Tamari contributed, her analytical mind immediately identifying theoretical implications, potentially explaining why Jinchuriki demonstrate natural resonance with cosmic balance principles beyond merely containing powerful chakra sources. This observatio demonstrated sophisticated understanding transcending conventional chakra theory, another indication of Temari's exceptional analytical capabilities despite lacking specialized perceptual advantages. Naruto appreciated her intellectual contribution that expanded theoretical framework beyond his own cosmic understanding through complementary analytical methodology. If this temple contains both historical vessel training methodologies and potential technological countermeasures against cultist equipment, expedition becomes strategically essential, he concluded, cosmic awareness confirming appropriate developmental pathway despite potential dangers. Though location deep within Demon Desert presents significant logistical challenges beyond standard operations parameters. Gaara consider this assessment with characteristic thoroughness before reaching decision. Expeditionary team authorization granted under specialized parameters. Minimum essential personnel to maximize mobility while maintaining security protocols. His pale gaze shifted between Naruto and Tamari with subtle but meaningful emphasis. Primary investigation team comprising balance vessel and wind specialist with natural resonance compatibility provides optimal operational configuration while satisfying diplomatic requirements. The assignment reflected both practical tactical considerations and deeper understanding of developing partnership dynamics. Gaara's analytical precision had identified emerging compatibility between Naruto's cosmic requirements and Temari's natural abilities, creating administrative TIVE framework supporting optimal developmental pathway while maintaining necessary security protocols. Expedition preparations will commence immediately, Tamari acknowledged, professional F-assign. Sai masking evident intellectual interest in the assignment beyond administrative responsibility. Specialized desert survival equipment, appropriate communication systems, and necessary research matter. IALS require approximately 24 hours for proper assembly and verification. With operational parameters established, their planning session transitioned to specific logistical considerations, equipment requirements, communication protocols, and appropriate contingency planning for extended operation in Demon Desert's notoriously hazardous environment. Throughout these discussions, the Naruto-Raw complementary dynamic between Naruto and Tamari continued developing, his cosmic awareness harmonizing with her analytical precision to create comprehensive planning approach transcending either methodology independently. As evening approached, Gaara concluded formal planning with characteristic efficiency before addressing additional considerations with more personal emphasis. Beyond operational objectives, this expedition potentially carries significant developmental implications for cosmic balance integration. His typically reserved expression softened marginally, revealing genuine concern beneath administrative exterior. Historical records indicate critical transition phase between initial manifestation and stabilized integration where vessel decisions fundamentally shape subsequent development trajectory. This observation revealed deeper understanding than previously demonstrated, suggesting Gaara had conducted independent research regarding cosmic balance principles beyond merely administrative briefings. Naruto appreciated this personal investment transcending official responsibility, recognizing genuine concern rather than merely strategic consideration. The repos. Atari information confirms similar understanding, he acknowledged, reciprocating candor with comparable openness. Previous vessels established foundational patterns during this phase that determined whether their development led toward transcendence, specialized application, or potential corruption through imbalance. Then appropriate guidance becomes essential beyond merely tactical support. Gaara concluded with subtle but meaningful glance toward his sister. Fortunate alignment that your assigned liaison demonstrates both professional capabilities and philosophical compatibility conducive to balanced development. This statement carried multiple significance levels beneath its seemingly straightforward surface: acknowledgement of emerging connection beyond administrative assignment, recognition of Temari's exceptional qualities beyond merely professional capabilities, and subtle personal endorsement of developing partnership dynamic without inappropriate intervention. As their meeting concluded and participants departed for respective preparations, Tamari lingered briefly to address her brother with characteristic directness once others had left. Your assignment carries implications beyond standard administrative parameters, she observed, neither accusatory nor uncomfortable but simply acknowledging unspoken aspects with typical precision. Gaara met her gaze with equal directness. Optimal operational configuration based on demonstrated compatibility and tactical requirements. His response acknowledged surface justification without denying deeper considerations. After brief pause, he added with unusual personal emphasis, though administrative responsibility doesn't preclude recognition of beneficial developmental alignment transcending merely professional parameters. This exchange, while characteristically economical in verbal expression, carried significant personal acknowledgement beneath formal exterior. Tamari accepted both explicit and implicit as PECTS with composed nod before departing to commence expedition preparations, leaving Gaara momentarily alone with Naruto in the conference chamber. My sister rarely encounters individuals capable of matching her analytical precision while appreciating the philosophical elegance she perceives in fundamental patterns, he observed with unexpected personal insight beneath his typically reserved exterior. Your cosmic transformation appears to have developed comparable perception despite dramatically different methodological framework. The observation revealed deeper understanding of Temari's nature than typically expressed through Gaara's reserved communication style, genuine brotherly appreciation beneath cage formality. Naruto recognized significant personal disclosure within this seemingly straightforward assessment, appreciating the deliberate sharing of perspective normally maintained behind official reserve. Her analytical approach creates natural harmony with cosmic awareness despite different foundational principles, he responded with comparable candor. Where cosmic perception identifies patterns through fundamental energy resonance, her intellectual methodology S covers similar understanding through disciplined observation and theoretical integration. Different paths reaching complementary conclusions. Gara nodded once, accepting this assessment with evid. NT's satisfaction despite minimal expression change. Appropriate recognition of complementary methodologies rather than merely parallel capabilities. He rose to conclude their conversation, though Ed final observation with uncharacteristic personal emphasis. Throughout my development, Temuri's unwavering analytical support provided essential stability despite my destructive potential. Her kappa, city for perceiving underlying patterns beneath chaotic manifestation proves particularly valuable during transformative phases. With that meaningful insight offered without further elaboration, he departed to address administrative responsibilities, leaving Naruto to consider implications regarding both upcoming expedition and developing personal connections. The cosmic awareness within him recognized significant alignment between current developmental pathway and historical vessel patterns documented in the repository, particularly regarding anchor relationships providing stability during critical transition phases. As evening settled over Sunagaker, transforming harsh desert light to remarkable stellar panorama visible through specialized observatory platforms atop administrative center, Naruto found himself appreciating desert environment with newfound perspective. Where previous visits had registered merely challenging conditions requiring adaptation, his transformed perception now recognized perfect natural balance within apparent extremes, harmony achieved through precision rather than moderation, elegance through efficiency rather than abundance. This environmental appreciation paralleled his evolving understanding of Temari herself, initially perceiving merely professional capability within reserved exterior, now recognizing sophisticated harmony between intellectual precision and philosophical depth, creating remarkable balance through disciplined integration rather than dramatic expression. The cosmic awareness recognized natural resonance between her fundamental nature and creation aspects of balance energy, wind affinity representing dynamic potential in constant motion, analytical precision providing structural framework for creative application. Their developing connection transcended merely complementary combat capabilities or administrative compatibility, suggesting potential for genuine anchor relationship providing essential stability during critical developmental phase ahead. Whether this connection developed toward merely professional partnership or something more personal remained undetermined, though cosmic awareness detected potential for either pathway depending on subsequent choices and experiences. As stars traced perfect patterns across desert sky with mathematical precision invisible in more variable environments, Naruto contemplated upcoming expedition with both practical consideration and philosophical appreciation. The Demon Desert represented both physical challenge and symbolic journey, harsh environment requiring perfect efficiency while concealing profound mysteries beneath apparently barren surface. Whatever discoveries awaited within the ancient temple, the expedition itself represented crucial developmental milestone, not merely regarding cosmic power application but fundamental integration between his transformed nature and continuing humanity. The balance between these aspects would determine whether High's development followed transcendent pathway or potential corruption through isolation from human connection. With Temuri's analytical precision complementing cosmic awareness while providing essential human perspective, optimal balance pathway appeared increasingly accessible despite inherent challenges. This natural compatibility, recognized by both cosmic understanding and Gara's perceptive assessment, created foundation for approaching critical developmental phase with appropriate guidance beyond merely technical instruction. As midnight approached, bringing perfect stillness to desert landscape where even air molecules seemed to pause in reverent appreciation of universal harmony, Naruto felt cosmic energies achieving natural equilibrium without conscious effort, creation and destruction aspects flowing in perfect synchronization rather than requiring deliberate balancing. This effortless harmony reflected environment's influence, certainly, but also suggested developing integration between cosmic nature and human perspective supported by emerging connections with complementary individuals. The journey ahead carried both danger and opportunity, but appropriate foundation had been established through experiences since transformation began. With cosmic guidance from repository information, practical support from developing anchor relationships, and personal determination to maintain essential humanity despite cosmic evolution, optimal developmental pathway remained accessible despite inevitable challenges ahead. Tomorrow's expedition into Demon Desert would test this foundation under extreme conditions while potentially providing essential guidance from previous vessels' experiences. Whatever awaited within the ancient temple, Naruto would approach it with balance. Deep perspective integrating cosmic awareness with human connection, the essential equilibrium that distinguished successful vessels from those consumed by their powers. The prismatic energy within him pulsed in perfect rhythm as this understanding crystallized, cosmic symbols manifesting briefly across his skin before receding into balanced dormancy. Desert stars continued their mathematical procession across perfect night sky, bearing silent witness to transformative understanding developing within vessel who carried fundamental forces that both created and destroyed those very celestial bodies. Across cosmic timescales beyond human comprehension. Chapter 3 End. The End. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next video.